kind of that high 80s, low 90s fastball with a little bit of cut. He's got a slider that he throws in the upper 70s, curveball, a changeup. So when you get in there against him, he's got pitches that go every which way, and he's going to try to use those to keep these Arkansas hitters off balance.
Pretty good ERA last year in those 57 innings. He is going to face a red-hot lineup without a couple of regulars. There is no Iredale today. So Davilon, Aloy, Maxwell the top three, then Cahillo. Colja moves up to the 5-hole. Kendall Diggs gets a start in right. Souza will bump up to the 7-hole. Becker catching instead of Helfrich, who had a really good weekend, and Gabe Frazier at third base. So this team averaging 10.6 runs over the last 8 games, and they come in third in the country in slug, third in the country in home runs, 8th in batting average. And Sean, it has been quite a month for this offense.
I mean, it's unbelievable to think that if you're playing against Arkansas, there's the potential that you're going to have to score 11 runs to come away with a win. And not only that, but we're seeing, it's, what did we say, Tuesday? And the guy on the bump for the Razorbacks has a sub-1 whip.
Yeah, you're hoping to get off to a good start and then kind of flip a little bit of the momentum. But what Davilon has done, and you see his numbers on the season, is just caused so many problems, not just getting on base, but home runs and scoring runs. As I mentioned in the open, he has scored 32 runs in the last 14 games. Playing center field tonight. He had 6 straight multi-hit games, and that ended on Saturday. Pretty good pitch for a strike, and all he did that game was score 2 runs, hit a 2-run homer. Then he homered again on Sunday, was intentionally walked, got a single, scored a pair of runs. And there's a chopper. It's up the middle, and it's into center for another base hit. So, by the way, also in hits, that's 41. He came in tied with Vahiva Aloy for the most on the team, and every time you look up, he's on base.
Yeah, and does a nice job with this ball right here. It doesn't always have to be a power punch to be able to really make a difference. There he bounces it right back through the box into center field. He got a fastball, stayed on it, and just sent it right back where it came from. And now you get a dangerous base runner on ahead of, I mean, you've got some really, really good players that have been hitting the heck out of the ball this year.
Including this man, Vahiva Aloy. Batting average dipped below 400. 10 homers, 33 knocked in. He leads this team in slug. While playing highlight type defense. Hiva had a couple of runs scored with a base hit on Sunday. Arkansas had to score 7 runs in the 8th to break up a 4-4 game to sweep that series with South Carolina. Long pause before the pitch, and that's right down the chute. In fact, while Arkansas moved from 3rd to 2nd in the composite rankings and those that we use, the collegiate baseball writers had them number 1 over Tennessee. Number 2 by USA Today, the coaches, and D1 and whatnot. So we recognize Arkansas as number 2, but there is one poll, and the baseball writers have them number 1. There's only one place to go from there.
That's, yeah, I mean, that's, it is interesting, though, that you say it's from the baseball writers. I mean, how many times have we heard fans just could be completely against whatever's decided? So,
wave it a miss. Nice pitch. Vahiva Aloy will go down on strikes.
It did a nice job here with that nice little breaking ball at the bottom of the zone. And to get a guy like Aloy out, you have to set that pitch up earlier in the at-bat. And that's exactly what he did. He kept him off balance with his breaking stuff, snuck in a couple fastballs there to get him into that 2-strike count. Aloy, I mean, you have to protect with the 2 strikes, especially when you have a guy like Davilon on.
Real nice pitch, and it brings up Maxwell, who has reached base in 19 straight games. A pitch timer violation on Schaff, who was not ready to go. So a ball put up on the board. Maxwell has been involved in a couple of unique occurrences in the last week that aren't on the regular type scenario. In one inning, he was hit by a pitch twice. That was back on Saturday in the 8-run first. He's also reached via catcher's interference 2 times in 4 games. So I don't know which one would be more rare, Sean, to get hit by a pitch twice in 1 inning or have 2 catcher's interferences in the course of less than a week.
I would think, oh boy. I would think it would be hit by a pitch twice in 1 inning. Doing anything twice in 1 inning is
that's a good point.
It's difficult because you're
thing.
dependent on 8 other guys to get you back to the plate.
2-1 to Maxwell. He sees some real estate, but that bunt was not close enough to the chalk, and he's going to be retired. So that's kind of a break for the Bears. With Sutherland way off the line, Maxwell tried a surprise attack. The Bears will shift a lot. They feel like they've got some players who can field some ground balls, but that time Schaff was able to handle it himself.
Yeah, and I think, in that instance right there, it's kind of a win-win, right? Because you get the bunt down. If you're thrown out at first base, you still got Davalon up to second. If you reach, you've got 2 runners on now, and you can make something happen. But even then, you turn it over to the cleanup spot with a runner in scoring position.
And that's Kahio Aloy. Leads this team in batting average. Throw to second base, and Davalon really no threat to steal third. Kahio reached 3 times on Sunday. Reached 3 times on Saturday, reached a couple of times on Friday. Taking a few more walks as of late as teams try to get him to expand the zone or not try and find too much of the plate. And sometimes as a pitcher, that's out of self-preservation for fear that he might hit something about 112 back at your coconut.
The old coconut, huh?
Yep, you got to protect your face and your teeth.
Never mind the nose or the eyes or the ears or anything.
All of the above.
Your hairline, all that kind of stuff.
That's popped up. Somewhat of a winless day. Who wants it? Climbing up the mound is Knight, and he'll make the catch. So the Razorbacks get a leadoff single, but they do not score. 1 complete here at Bob Walker between the Bears and the Hawks. Well, the first year for Joey Hawkins as the head coach, taking over for Keith Gutton, who had 42 years as the head Bear in Springfield. He was an assistant under Coach Gutton. Played shortstop on that Missouri State team, and we'll talk a lot about 2015. Of course, his hitting coach that year when they were here for a Super was Nate Thompson. And now he is the head coach. Here's Max Knight leading off the 2nd inning.
He knows that Springfield area very well, now coaching, playing. He played there as a minor league baseball player,
That's
so,
right.
I mean, he's been there a while.
Many different tiers. As Max Knight swings and fouls one off Becker.
Some would say all the tiers.
I think he's hit everything he pretty much could, other than maybe a big leaguer coming down on rehab. I think he's probably clicked everything else off. Sean, I'm still trying to get a feel if these hitters are having a hard time kind of picking up the baseball. The sun kind of dipping below the clouds, but I felt like there were some swings in that first from both teams. No swing there, says our third base umpire, Doug Thrasher, where they were kind of feeling for the baseball with the sunshine off the batter's eye.
Yeah, and I think, too, it's Fisher's kind of arm action, too, is going to mess with that a little bit.
I would agree.
You see he's kind of got that 3/4, maybe a little lower arm slot. And especially if you're not used to seeing a lefty throw like that, it's going to be tough to pick it up the first couple innings.
Max Knight is a two-way player. He is both a hitter and, of course, a pitcher. Transferred from Oklahoma State. Going to take that one a little bit down, so he saw some pitches well enough to walk to begin the 2nd inning. Well, Dave Van Horn, it was just a couple of weeks ago, he was tracking on 900 wins at Arkansas, now up to 906. 23rd year, and we were talking a lot over the weekend about Arkansas getting off to its best start since 1982, when that was DVH's lone year as a second baseman. So they have surpassed that as Curry Sutherland pops one up and is out of play. And Dave was asked that question, Sean, after the game on Sunday, how do these teams compare? And he said they don't. He said, we didn't hit home runs in 1982. We were playing some non-Division I teams. This is just a different level of college baseball over the last couple of decades. His team's done it through the SEC, through the non-con. As Sutherland takes one a little bit down, and we were just talking off air about how, players are bigger, stronger, faster, and how that has changed just over the last 5 to 10 years, let alone a couple of decades.
Staffs at every level of baseball have expanded in the last 10 years, where you're kind of getting a lot. I mean, even in the lower minor league levels, you may have a staff of 7 people. So the coaching's gotten better. It's, there's more people around to do it. And then you look at college and the staffs that they bring around, and now with all the information that these guys get, and Joey was talking about that a little bit. That information has helped a lot of these teams play a lot better baseball.
Development is at an all-time high. There's a wave and a miss. Sutherland will K. And that is 3 strikeouts for Fisher. He hasn't been terribly democratic. He's either walked or struck at everybody except Goddard, who lined to third to win last inning.
Kind of threw that low back foot breaker right there. And again, I mean, if you've got that going and you can throw that for a strike and set it up, or even if you don't throw it for a strike but it's deceiving, it's going to be a long day at the plate.
And we'll see how many pitchers Arkansas wants to throw. There's only 1 midweek game. Last week they had 2, so you had to kind of either extend guys to a 1 to 2 inning situation or throw a lot of guys. That was in the dirt. Knight is going to be able to advance on the wild pitch. Becker tried to block it and throw, but that was a pretty good dirt ball read from Max Knight.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, getting the jump and everything. And, it didn't take Becker very long to barehand that ball and get it up to second. And Aloy put down a quick tag, but Knight had plenty of time to get in there. So that's a great read by him.
Boy, that one sprayed dangerously foul into the Bears dugout area. Stewart's hit 3 home runs this year. Shanks another one back to the screen. He was one of those guys they were happy to get back. He was draft eligible after last year. And the scouting report on D1 Baseball says he takes vicious swings and regularly makes loud contact. And he took a couple of vicious swings in that sequence there on foul balls.
A lot of times when you're coaching young kids, that's what they want them to do, is swing as hard as they can, because it's tough to teach.
Blocked by Becker.
Could make a lot of money having a vicious swing too.
You can. I know it's a risk reward allocation, but you hit the ball a long ways, you hit it hard, and you'll have interest. And it's a Bears team that they're going to hit a lot of home runs the rest of the way. That is just a little bit out and off that outside corner. They've homered in 124 of their last 153 games, kind of in just outside the top 12 nationally, ever since Joey Hawkins took over as the hitting coach. Now, of course, the head coach. Knight with a great running break is going to swipe third on a swing and a miss. Knight was kind of timing up Colin Fisher and easily able to get the stolen base, but that's now 4 strikeouts from Fisher.
Yeah, and you know what? Knight picked the perfect pitch to go on, too. It was a breaking ball that obviously gets the swing and the miss, and so there's a little bit extra interference for the catcher there, and just takes off. And he had been inching out that secondary lead a little bit that entire AB.
6th-year senior Tyler Epstein, 15 hits on the year. He spent 4 years at Division II Nova Southeastern. I think that's the school that produced J.D. Martinez, if I'm not mistaken. Longtime big league hitter. Pitch a little bit in.
It's modest. There was a point in time where he was widely considered the best hitter in baseball.
Got a 4-homer game, didn't he? When he came to the big leagues, I got to call his first couple of months worth of games. Was that a swing? It was, but the ball's going to kick away and it's going to be a run. I didn't know if maybe Epstein had checked his swing and deflected that ball away, or Becker just couldn't catch it cleanly, but once it propelled out, Knight was given home. He would have scored anyway.
When you talk about good reads, I mean, that ball, that hit the dirt and then bounced right up. It got away from Becker, and you don't, when the ball gets that far away from the catcher, you don't have to have a good clean read right off the jump, but even when we looked at that replay, he did.
He did, and that's the true definition of free bases. A wild pitch to second. He scored on a wild pitch, went to third on a stolen base, really providing kind of a free tour around the bases. So the Bears have a run without a hit this inning. Epstein really choking up on that bat. 2 balls, 2 strikes the count. Fisher gets a K. He'll be angry on that wild pitch that allowed the run to score. He does indeed strike out 3 straight, but the Bears get a run to start the scoring as we go to the bottom of the second. Was a shortstop on that team. Last 10 meetings, they've been pretty even, 6-4, Arkansas in front. Of course, Arkansas did have that super regional win as Cam Kojal leads off this inning and takes a pitch down for a ball. And, you know, even talking to Coach today, he thinks back of those moments fondly. You never want to lose, but to be a game away from a College World Series as a mid-major program, I mean, that was quite a run with 49 wins.
You know, when you get into those situations, I think it just really deepens the relationships with the guys that you're with, right? I mean, you're going through it, the pressure's on everybody and everything, and being able to be in those situations, I think, is what all athletes strive for.
Yep, you remember them fondly, and when you win 49 games and you're a win away from Omaha, obviously there's a lot to celebrate. This program's had one College World Series trip back in 2003, but they've had other chances. Kojal tried to check but did not on the pitch from Schaff. That may have been the breaking ball, and his whiff rate on his changeup and his curveball are over 50%. And the Bears had a pretty dramatic shift as well with a couple of strikes on Kojal, who fouls one right at the plate. And Hawkins has a pro background again, Sean, so I think he's taking elements from what he learned as a player and as a coach, and he's applied them to this college program.
It really is incredible, too, when a lot of these guys go to pro baseball. Some of them develop very deep relationships with their coaches and their instructors and different, you know, rovers and things like that. And so they pick up how to coach and manage a lot of different personalities just by being around that other person that kind of becomes a mentor, even though they're still teaching you how to play the game.
You know, he talked about kind of learning a lot, and part of that was to be the same person every day, you know, maintain enthusiasm. You try not to get too high or low. You're around that with the Naturals on a regular basis, but also understand the college game. He's not that far removed, of course, as a player, as we documented. But part of that now is understanding scattering reports and data and shifting and all that goes into preparing a team that didn't exist a decade plus ago.
Yeah, and you know what? I mean, to his credit, this team has been one of the better defensive teams that we've seen. He attributed part of that to, you know, some of the data and things that he can use.
Well, that pitch looked to be pretty good. I was waiting to see Mark Hutchinson ring him up. Instead, that's ball 4.
Yep. Went right after that lower outside corner and just, for whatever reason, didn't get it to go. It could have went either way.
We've lost our strike zone TrackMan box here in the last week as they decided to allow them in the dugout so they don't give us the information, which we're trying to figure out how to do a silent protest as Kendall Diggs bats. Quite honestly, we're not good at being silent. We're just trying to figure out how to protest.
Yeah, I'm just not good at the up-down from this angle.
I would agree. We do sit at we have a great view, but not if we're trying to determine where the pitch is with the umpire and the catcher in front of us. Kendall Diggs getting a start, trying to get things rolling on his campaign. He's going to ground one to Rodriguez. The Bears will try and turn 2, and they get the double play. Rodriguez, that was a long sideways flip to Epstein, but it still worked for the Twin killing.
Yeah, like you said, it was a long distance between the second baseman and shortstop to get that ball over there to the swing man. But here you can see, plugs it into the ground. Hard hit ground ball, but it works against him because there's no chance for him to get up the baseline and into first base. That's a good stretch over there by Knight, too, into fair territory.
Is that about a 40-foot
yeah.
shovel flip right there?
That's pretty good. I don't know where else that applies in life, but
maybe there's some Frisbee correlation. I don't know. As Nolan Souza bats with the bases empty and 2 outs.
Hacky sack.
Could.
A little hacky sack move right there. Very popular pregame amongst bullpens.
That makes sense. The bottom of the lineup the other day came through for Arkansas, though, and we've talked about the top 6. And this past weekend against South Carolina, the 7, 8, and 9 hitters, which was Helfrich, Souza, and Thomas Jr. 2 of those 3 not playing today, but they went 14 for 34 with 9 runs batted in. Thomas had the go-ahead homer. Helfrich had a pair on Sunday, and again, neither one playing today. But what that has done is create a very difficult scenario when everybody's in there. And I know part of these midweek games for all head coaches is how do you get some guys some at-bats? How do you rest your catcher? Give some individuals some different chances. Bears in the shift again. That was not a comfortable swing. Schaff gets the K. So a leadoff walk. Then he gets the double play and strikes out Nolan Souza. He's doing some painting Hogs a little bit sluggish offensively early. Very little wind. I know that's rare. Bears, though, got a run in the second without a hit, and that is it so far this evening. Zera, Bogenpol, and Rodriguez here in the third inning. The freshman catcher Zera will chop one to third, right to Frazier. His toss across to Kojal. Here's a quick out to begin this top of the third inning.
Made that one look easy, too. That's, I don't know. For me, when I'm standing on a corner of the diamond and I have to throw across it, maybe it's just me being 36 and not, not having any athleticism left in my body, but I get nervous whenever I see people too far away.
No, I would agree, or have too much time. Bogenpol struck out in the first. Had 74 Ks a year ago, but he's on this streak now where he has reached base safely in 35 straight games, and he is a mountain of a man in that batter's box at 6'6". It's one thing to get a player like this to a mid-major school. It's another in today's day and age to keep him, because last season had an incredible year, 30 extra base hits, 20 home runs. He broke Ryan Howard's mark of a freshman in 1999. Had that hamate bone issue about 4 weeks before the season, and Sean, I got to believe even when you're ready to go, it does take a while to kind of get that feel again. Being able to swing the bat and be confident that you're not going to do any damage to that bone area.
And not only that, but early on in the season when it's cold and you get jammed or you hit one off the end,
yeah,
you're going to feel that in that hand. And whether it's your brain or the actual nerves in your hand doing it, that's going to hurt for a little while. So, yeah, usually, especially if you're coming off something in the hand or arm, early on in the season, you're going to go off to a slow start because you're going to be a little more tentative with it.
Just try and kind of get some swings underneath you. But again, he takes his walk, so he has reached base in 36 straight games. Rodriguez, a strikeout victim. Way back in the first. Tampa native. He was a freshman All-American at the school Charleston Southern in 2022. Keith Gutton, who's here tonight, was telling a story on the television broadcast that after his freshman year, he was sitting around, he was watching the regionals on either television or his iPad, and Bears were in Stillwater at Oklahoma State, and he kind of said, I want to be a Bear, and that's how it took place. They played a game in that regional, and I don't know exactly, it was like 23-17 or something like that, and he might have thought, hey, I kind of like this hitting region of the country.
There's certain places you go where the ball certainly jumps off the bat, doesn't it?
Stillwater's one of them, especially in June. 14 homers, though, last season for Rodriguez. Bears wouldn't mind building a little bit of a lead here against Arkansas. These midweek games lack a little bit of the intensity that we had just a couple of days ago for conference play against South Carolina. And I got a feeling the way Joey Hawkins constructed his schedule this year, he thought, I got veteran hitters. Rodriguez is an example, or Bogenpol, or McCutcheon, or Collar on down the list. Why don't this be the season that I try and maybe go to Mississippi State or play Arkansas not once but twice? And part of it, getting to a regional, is winning your conference tournament. But just in case you can have some success outside of that, maybe you might have a chance at an at-large.
Yeah, and, I feel like every time we're on these coaches' calls and we talk about schedule structure and everything, they're always saying the same things. We knew that the Razorbacks were going to be good. We schedule it intentionally. This is a litmus test for us, or this is a tune-up, or we want to see how we stack up against these the best teams in the nation. And as you mentioned, it also helps out your strength of schedule when you do it.
Sure does. Another flip to first, and as Coach Hawkins said, hey, it's going to be 70 and sunny. You're playing the number 2, maybe the number 1 team in the country. As a competitor, this should be something that you circle on your calendars. You have it identified for weeks in advance. Some excitement about coming here. That ball's tattooed to right. It's going to stay in the park, but it's going to take a bounce and kick up off the fence. Bogenpol will go to third. He will hold on the ringing double from Rodriguez, and there's Bears at second and third with one gone.
Well, Fisher may have gone back to the well one too many times. Another breaking ball there, and that ball was hit hard. 105 off the bat, like you mentioned, on a line. And, you know, some of those balls carried during BP, but here it is. And just looked like that was a middle-in pitch right there that didn't backed up on him a little bit and just turned on it. And we saw that swing from Rodriguez. I mean, he looks like a guy that can pull it a ton with the way he gets his body behind that bat.
Kept that bat in the zone for a long period of time. And this is the 3-hole hitter, Jake McCutcheon, who walked back in the first. High strike given to Colin Fisher. See the numbers on the season for McCutcheon. Hit hard, hit fair, and it's down the line, and it's into the corner. This will chase home a couple of runs. McCutcheon will coast into second base with a 2-run double. That's a happy group of Bears. It's 3-0 Missouri State.
It's that same pitch, too. Another off-speed pitch. That one right around 80. So looking a little slurvy right there. And yeah, he got that one in there. And again, just another pull job. That one up the line. Kozel made a nice diving effort at it, but that ball was just, I mean, it was 100 off the bat. So another screamer that goes up the line and scores a couple of runs. And, you know, Missouri State is really, they've come in here and they are taking it to the Razorbacks. They got that early run, as you mentioned, on a couple of no-brainers to take off and go with the wild pitches. But now they're getting it done with the bat, and we're seeing those swings that we saw before the game, and they're all pretty vicious.
They are indeed, and Matt Hobbs on his way out to the mound for a conversation before Tag Gollard bats. There's a couple of streaks in play tonight, and they have been now for not just several weeks, but a longer stretch than that. Arkansas undefeated at home this year at 19-0. They have also won 18 straight midweek non-con games. So, with the Bears up early 3-0, they have a chance not to end one, but to end 2 streaks so far this season.
I'm sure a lot of Arkansas fans are also sitting there going, yeah, but how confident are you right now knowing the innings that this team has put up over time? And, I mean, quite honestly, if you're the Bears, you're saying, I don't care. I'm just going to keep trying to score runs.
No doubt. Build a lead, take a little bit of the steam out of the fight as Gollard, who lined to third, is only at bat. Takes a strike. Gollard from Toronto. Another Canadian in this game. Going to wave and miss at a high one. Gollard has had a flair for the dramatic, to say the least. Little soft pop-up. May have to save that for the next at-bat. Kozel will make the catch. And there's 2 outs.
I was about to say, speaking of flair.
Well, why don't I just jump into it? He had a game last year where he had 2 grand slams in a game. We talked about rarity earlier. First player in school history with 2 grand slams in a game. And what is unique, it was in April against Bradley. A walk-off in the bottom of the 9th added to a night that he will never forget. Here's another night, Max, as he takes a strike. And you think at the big league level about somebody who hit 2 grand slams in a game. Bill Miller comes to mind, who was a Missouri State Bear, although he wasn't Missouri State then, but they were the Bears, and he did it with one coming from the right side and one from the left side with the Boston Red Sox against the Texas Rangers. So did 2 grand slams in a game and have them both be Bears in some capacity?
It's a cool note. And not only that, but to be a switch hitter and do it is,
no doubt.
I mean, that's even more, you know, that's even more rare.
So here's Max Knight, who has 2 grand slams this season. And in both games he's hit a grand slam this year, he's also pitched. So he is a 2-way guy who has had some fun with the grand slams. That wasn't much fun as Fisher gets the K, but that's a lot of uniqueness. But the Bears had 2 runs to their lead. Bears 10-12 on the year, but 3-0 in Missouri Valley Conference play. 8-3 there in Springfield, and D1 baseball coming into the year had them as the regional team out of the conference. The unique part about the conference standings or the polls that begin a campaign, they just voted about a week ago. as Zane Becker steps in. So rather than do it in the offseason, they waited until the non-cons were over, and then everybody voted, and they had Missouri State #1 in the league, even though they were well below 500 over Southern and Murray State, Illinois State, Evansville. It was in a super last year, so maybe other schools will start to do that, or other conferences in different sports. Just wait.
Yeah, well, I mean, why not, right? Get a good sample size, like really figure out. The coaches are doing the same thing. They're trying to figure out, you know, who can I put in this spot?
Becker with a chopper to third, right to Sutherland. Bit of a lob across the diamond. Becker retired to begin the bottom of the third inning.
They're looking at it going, who's going to be good in a pinch hit situation where we need runs? Who's going to be a good guy to bring in out of the bullpen when there's only one out and the bases are loaded and we're on the road? Coaches are trying to figure that out early in the season. So as you get later in the year and everybody has more defined roles, why not wait to vote on those things when you actually know what a team is going to look
That's
like?
right. You feel like you have a better chance of maybe being close to accurate if you put any stock into those polls at all. But it's just unique the way that they do it. Here's Gabe Frazier. He's getting the start tonight. He's had 13 at-bats this year and 1 hit, and that was a bunt hit. And yet, the Bears were shifting against him with a strike. Sutherland at third will back up a couple of steps. Arkansas got a hit from Davalon in the bottom of the first and haven't had one since. And Schaff trying to cruise through the rest of the lineup. This pitcher from Las Vegas, who's been his freshman year at Indian Hills Community College in Iowa. Threw a complete game last year in April, and I don't know how long he will go today, but part of the story for the Bears is that they have a 30-man roster, and it's just been part of what they have been forced to do with the scholarships available, the roster available, a lot of female sports, and you know, they have to figure out a way to compete. And there's a chopper that's going to beat the shift. I don't know if that was intentional or that was just a swing where he's just trying to put the ball in play, and Frazier can laugh his way to first, I guess.
That was a shift beater, and I had just looked out and said, man, they've really shifted over against Frazier there, and then he just pounds it into the ground and dribbles it up the left side. We were talking about the bunt earlier being not close enough to the line, right? You could put it at shortstop when that shift is on, and you'll be in good shape.
That's fun. It's going to turn the lineup over for Davalon, who collected his 41st hit of the year. Time was called. I think Frazier was trying to either put his oven mitt on or whatever the case may be. But with Missouri State again, they've added a couple of female sports, acrobatics and tumbling, and stunt, which I guess is competitive cheerleading. So it's added more female sports. Still kind of limited from a scholarship standpoint. You're listening to two guys who would not be any good whatsoever at acrobatics and tumbling or stunt.
Speak for yourself. I think I'd be a majestic 350-pound man doing flips.
You could pledge a fraternity with the crew of that movie. There's a breaking ball in there for a strike to Davalon.
I was going to say, I feel like that could be its own movie.
It might be. Might be a fascinating way of taking non-students and throwing them into a fraternity and then doing some pranks. And have the dean request you do some tumbling. Anyhow, the count, a ball and a strike to Davalon, who continues to put up just absurd numbers. If you go back to March 8th when Portland came to town, counting his hit earlier, Davalon is 27 for 49. Is that good?
It doesn't seem too bad. I think we might have to put a poll out about it, but
it's better than 550. So if that works for you, then
sample size, right? Can we
27 for his last 49.
You almost had another one right there, too.
He sure did. He has one of the 2 hits for the Razorbacks, and they're down 3 runs early. Look where Zara is setting up that target. Look where he wants it. Well, he pretty much got it where he wanted it. I would say if that's where Schaff intended to throw it, no way Davalon was going to swing at that. But that's unique because it was 2-2.
And I do think it's also unique because you've got the runner at first. They've overshifted again, so you've got 3 infielders on the right side.
Davalon hits one high in the air to playable right center. Bogenpool will make the catch for the second out.
But even then, you watch, and they were trying to pitch him away a little bit. So that tells you the scouting report is this guy's a pull hitter. Because at that point, what are you trying to do? You've overloaded the right side on the infield. You're trying to get a rollover.
You know, the funny part is he's been rather Tony Gwynn-like, and boy, Vahiva must be bleeding. His pants are covered in something. Did he do anything that would have caused unless he's rubbing his hand on that? I don't remember a play at short where he's had some problems. Finish my thought here after this pitch to Vahiva. Another one that's in the air to center, and Bogenpool doesn't even really have to move, and the catch is made. So all of those thoughts I had will just evaporate from my mind as the inning ends. 3-0 Bears. Well, Arkansas's last midweek loss was a neutral site in North Little Rock in 2023 to Lipscomb, and that was an 11-inning game. I'm guessing was a lower scoring contest, but their last midweek home loss was against these Bears almost 3 years ago. Currently on that 18-game win streak here in midweek games, so it has been a long time.
As I said, that's a long stretch to have not put a game in the right-hand column.
Agreed, but Arkansas does go to the bullpen. Fisher threw 3. Ben Bybee is on to work, and we've seen Ben in some different roles. In fact, he threw an inning just on Sunday and gave up a hit, but pretty good earned run average of 3.18. When we saw him throw in a midweek game, which would have been last Tuesday, he went 4 innings of 1 hit, no run baseball, no walks either. And I thought his fastball had as much jump and his breaking ball had as much snap as we've seen. And I don't know if he might be looking at multiple innings today, but he is on to throw. You know, when you pitch well midweek, then there's always the thought, well, could we use this guy during a conference series? And here's Sutherland as he takes one high. Obviously, teams like to have good starters midweek so they can go on streaks like we just pointed out. But if you pitch too well, there's some thought, why don't we use you in the big games on the weekend? Sometimes you do both. That one socked to left, traveling out to Maxwell. Doesn't have to move. He'll make the catch, and there's one out.
Yeah, and I think, look, that's the whole point of being able to play these games partially, right, is to get those guys some work and be able to see who's ready to take the next step, and hopefully they help you out. You know, they help you in the run at the end of the season there when you're trying to get to Nebraska.
No doubt. There's 4 teams in the SEC that are 5-1. Arkansas is one of those. Georgia, Tennessee, and Texas, and they'll be at Vandy this weekend. But here's Zach Stewart, who struck out in the second inning. Lebanon, Missouri native. We talked about this combination. We've seen Gollert, we've seen Bogenpool, Nick Rodriguez, and Stewart. That quartet of Bears hit 65 home runs a year ago, and I think the one thing Coach told us about maybe his reason for optimism going forward is he feels like some of these guys are just getting going, that there's more in the tank. And, you know, with the weather warming up and with veteran hitters kind of reverting to the mean as far as their career numbers, I think it bodes well for what the Bears might be able to do going forward.
And not only that, he was really excited about the way that sort of his role players played over the last week or so, and that, you know, the veteran guys, the guys that you're expecting to hit, they're meeting expectations, if not doing better. And the other guys that you're just hoping can pitch in have been doing a lot of it.
That's a big wave and a miss by Stewart as well in the count 2-2. I mean, as a true freshman last year, he had 50-plus RBIs, and there's only been 4 guys to do that, and one of those was Ryan Howard. 2-2 the count to Stewart. And that is a swing and a miss. Becker's going to have to complete the throw to first, which he does for out number 2. You got a little Ryan Howard background, don't you? The former Philly slugger?
Yeah, he was when he was coming up through the minors. I grew up in Scranton, Wilkes-Barre, and he was with the Red Barons at the time, which I'm sure you remember that name. But he was playing first base, and they had a restaurant in the stadium, and I went up there after a game one night, and he was sitting there eating dinner. So I just walked up to him and got a chance to talk to him.
Epstein drives one to left. This ball's hit well. It's going to go from the shadows to the sunshine to the hard pen, and it's gone. For all the big power hitters we were talking about, Epstein has just one, but that was a no-doubter, and it's 4-0 Missouri State. 393 feet. And after a couple of strikeouts, Bobby looked like he was ready to cruise through this inning, and Epstein had other ideas.
Oh, and he threw a fastball in there. I mean, that is just getting the hands through, getting that barrel through, and going right to the ball. I mean, I don't think there was any doubt by anyone in the ballpark that that was gone off the bat.
No doubt. Here's Zara, the freshman catcher, who bounced to third as only AB. It's a unique setting right now with bright sunshine in the hog pen and on the warning track, and even where Maxwell's standing, and shadows covering the rest of the field with the lights on. Maxwell shading his eyes in left when the pitch is delivered, because you'll see him now when the pitch comes in, he has to use that left hand and kind of shade it because he's right there on the verge of that line of demarcation. A little bit high, 2-1.
Not only that, but you have that backdrop of sort of the darker clouds out and left.
Yes.
And so it gives you kind of the ominous feeling while the sunshine is just blasting everybody in left field out there.
That's a great shot. You can see it's hard to even identify that fence in left because of all the sunshine, and we'll never complain about that. But Hog fans a little bit perplexed by the 4-0 deficit early. This has been such a juggernaut offensively from Arkansas, but listen, as we talked about, this happens. Teams lose these midweek games. We've seen it with more and more regularity in the last couple of weeks. Well, I would say it's a nice place to take a nap too if you want to just take an inning or two off. I know there hasn't been a lot going on, but that's a little much, isn't it?
I could use one. if we're giving them out for free, I could use one.
That's a wave and a miss. Somebody has to sit close enough to you to jump up and knock away a home run ball if it's tracking to you. Epstein hit one out there this frame, and it's 4-0 Bears. This Missouri State offense, it's been a little bit feast or famine. And listen, you could probably say that about any team. When they win, it clicks. When they don't, it doesn't. But I would say the way the first 4 innings have trended today, they're looking for more the former than the latter, up 4-0. Another thing we haven't probably discussed enough, I think Jason Schaaf has done a nice job. And he's back out there for another frame, and this is Maxwell, who tried to bunt his way on unsuccessfully in the first. But Arkansas has just 2 singles through 3 innings.
You know, Schaaf, not a physically dominating guy out there on the mound either. He's got him listed at 5'11", 180. You know, as a junior, you could tell he's gotten good at being able to get into the zone in just the right spot to create those swings and misses later in the at-bat.
That ball is just dumped out into right. So Maxwell muscled one in front of Stewart, and that is a hit to begin the 4th inning. Arkansas now second time through, and this will be the challenge. Sometimes in these midweek games, you never see a pitcher twice, let alone 3 times. But the Hogs will here. Maxwell with the base hit.
Yeah, got a nice 90-mile-per-hour fastball down and in, and is able to go down, get it, yank that one into right field to give Arkansas a little bit of room. There's nobody out. You get a runner on first base now, and you start, again, getting into that heart of the lineup.
Cahillo Aloy hit a pop-up to the first baseman on the mound. His only time in. Cahillo last homered at home back on Tuesday night, March 11th, a couple of weeks ago. He did hit one back-to-back with his brother this previous weekend at Old Miss at Oxford. Long pause from Schaaf before the pitch. Elevated just a bit. Still shy of 50 pitches so far through 3+ innings for Schaaf. With 14 innings of work coming in, and an ERA of more than 9.5. Next pitch, blister to center for a base hit. He just continues to hit the ball as hard as anybody in the country. That was 106. And the Razorbacks put their first 2 runners on base.
You can see here starting to get a little bit better of a feel for it. That fastball below the belt, still able to stay down on it and hit that little tailing liner back up the middle, which as a middle infielder, if the ball's tailing away from you, that is a tough play to make because you've got more ground to make up than you think.
I love that side swing of Kahio Aloy. I think there's more violence in that swing. There's more bat speed than maybe just about anybody else, as the Bears have a mound visit. And his dad was up with us in the booth the other day from Hawaii. It was fun to have Jamie in the booth talking about his boys who have been in the top 10 in a lot of categories in the SEC. He says Kahio can hit a golf ball 400 yards.
Is he giving lessons? I'm in.
I mean, if that's the case, you know, you need your 9-iron and maybe your sand wedge just in case, and your putter, and the rest of, you know, your irons are only needed for the par 3s.
If you're hitting at 400 yards, I don't even know if you need any of that. Just you could putt with the driver. That'd be the easiest round of golf ever. I'll do. If he told me I had to eat Spam for a month to hit it 400 yards, I'd be on board. I'd go to the grocery store right away.
Here's Camp Kojal. Smokes one. Foul into the seats. Down the line and right. Kojal hitting 478 in conference games only, which was a little bit of a shocker considering all the other big numbers everybody else has put up. But he's found his way into the lineup on a regular basis. Walked in his only plate appearance this evening. Arkansas over the last several weeks, oftentimes they've been in a add-on scenario where they're really trying to put up a big inning or do a lot of damage. Now they need a couple of runs to kind of climb back into this one. But nobody out. And 2 in a row, a missed up and out.
It's still at a point right now where you don't need the big inning, right? It's 4-0. If you get one back here, it's that's the minimum ask right now. You don't have anybody out. You have runners at first and second. Stay out of the double play. Move the runners up. That's your job right now.
I would agree. I think this team can hit a couple of homers by mistake over the course of a night, as long as maybe you're not trying to lift and elevate and celebrate. And Kojal chased a high one. As you know, when you're really trying to search for that long ball is usually when that doesn't happen.
Yeah, and at that point, you're no longer being an athlete. You're trying to make an outcome happen. That's where the worst things happen, because you get stiff, rigid, your brain doesn't work the right way. It doesn't see the ball hit the ball.
Although that ball is lifted out to left center field, there was a lot of real estate out there, and it's going to drop between Bogenpol and McCutcheon. And out of that, everybody moves up one base. McCutcheon was really shifted over near the bullpen. Bogenpol started to pursue. Neither caught it. I think both could have caught it. But I don't know if that was a communication issue with the hog pen or whether it was just dropped in the perfect place.
Yeah, and I think the placement was perfect here, because, I mean, he stays down and drives that ball, got under it a little bit in the air. Look at the distance that Bogenpol had to get just to be close to making that catch. Even then, somebody's hitting the ground if they make that catch at that point.
I think you're right, looking at the replay.
And I think, you know, maybe the communication was an error, because if you're not yelling, I got it, or me, converging to that ball, I mean, they say hearing footsteps when you're talking about a wide receiver going over the middle, right? It's the same thing with your outfielders going into the gaps, because if they don't hear anything and nobody's calling it, well, I'm not going to dive head first. I can see the guy in front of me. I don't want to collide with him.
Sean, you don't even see McCutcheon in the picture here, the left fielder.
No, and like I said, you see Bogenpol take off, and look, he might have had to have run 40 yards there just to get to that ball. And like you said, McCutcheon was in left. I mean, and you can see right now he's sort of playing near the line out there. So it's just a mile to run to try and get to that ball.
Here's Kendall Diggs. For a minute, I thought maybe this was Eddie Feiner and his king and his court, where they had one outfielder or 4 or 5 players behind him. Meanwhile, Diggs bounced into a double play in the second. Kendall's been trying to get it going, right? Playing time has not been on an everyday basis. Kind of a fun spot here for him. And that is a strike with the curve.
And again, in this situation, I think before we were talking about 2 on, nobody out, you got to move the runner over. I think now you're saying if we walk away with less than 2 runs, we've really done something wrong in this inning.
One thing you didn't want to do was a pop-up, and there it is. Fly will be called if this is a fair ball, and the catch is made by Sutherland. And that's a frustrating at-bat right there.
Absolutely. And may have guessed wrong there. It was a breaking ball that he, again, just skied up a mile into the air on the left side of the infield. And as a base runner, you're pretty helpless in that situation because you have to go back to the bag. And we saw second base umpire Mark Wagers was already calling the infield fly rule because he saw it coming in. So it's just tough because you look at it and it's like, well, I didn't bring a run in. I didn't move anybody up. I didn't move anybody. We just gave up and out in that situation.
And here's Souza. And I want to go back to where McCutchen is playing at left. Souza struck out his only time in. We have seen Souza wear out left center field from that 375 to the 400-foot sign. Have you seen a left fielder play in that spot 3 straight batters in that long of a time?
Not with the center fielder barely moving left of center. You can get away with that, but that center fielder has to really kind of play the gap if you have a spray guy up.
Quickly, it's 0-2 because you're right. If you shoot a ball in the gap, 3 runs are going to score if it's out there to left center.
And it could be 4 if that ball gets onto the warning track and rolls around a little bit.
Arkansas has come through in so many of these situations with runners on base, but a couple of times tonight they haven't. Still only 1 out, but Souza behind in the count, 0-2, and Schaff trying to make another pitch. I think that was a high changeup that kind of floated away from Souza, who's seen certainly his fair share of off speed in recent weeks. Bases full of Razorbacks. And now there's 2 out. So a pop up and a strikeout. My goodness, Schaff has made some pitches when he's needed them.
And this is a spot where he can do more damage getting this final out than maybe at any other point in the game, because Arkansas loaded the bases with nobody out. You got the pop out, the hitter helped you out there. Then you went and you got your strikeout. It's really tough to get on base at any level of baseball. The game's difficult. When you do this, you can't make it any more difficult. You have to do those small things, staying within yourself like we talked about, to get those, having team at bats and getting those runners
Especially
over.
because Arkansas is going a little bit different today. You want to play guys like Becker or Frazier, but it doesn't have that same thump as Helfrich or Thomas Jr. Now the bases are loaded with 2 outs. Fouled at the plate. You saw Dave Van Horn saying something to Souza when he walked back to the dugout, and he probably said, did you not see that? Because he's seen a lot of changeups. And when you're seeing a lot of changeups, it's because you're not recognizing them or you're swinging and missing.
Yeah, very rarely are they going to throw you a changeup if you're late on the heater.
That's right. It wasn't just 3 straight hits to start the inning. Remember, Kojal's ball really would have been a double in any other scenario. But Maxwell at third thought the ball was going to be caught, so he only advanced 90 feet, so he didn't score. And it wasn't that big of a deal at that point because it was bases loaded, nobody out. But now bases loaded, 2 gone. Becker has driven in 1 run. Well, make it 2 as he took one off his wrist or his hand, and that is painful. He'll take the RBI, but now Corey, the athletic trainer, comes out to check on Becker as well. And Sean, I don't know, maybe it's the father in me. I always get a little bit nervous when I see anybody take one off the hand of the wrist.
Yeah, it's such an exposed area. Even when you have the gloves on and the pads and everything, there's nothing there to protect your hand, and that's why it's so easy. You talked about guys having hamate issues and stuff like that. It's the ball, okay, that pitch was 89, right? We're looking and we're going, well, there's guys that throw 103. I still wouldn't want to get hit by anything going 89.
And not gripping a bat, too. It's one thing if I drop my hand off the bat and it makes contact. But, you're gripping, you anticipate that. You're almost wearing it at some point. And those catchers are tough kids. It's kind of built into the position. But that's how Arkansas gets its first run of the night. And here's Gabe Frazier, who had a swinging dribbler up the third base line that he reached on for a single in the 3rd inning. Rips one to right. Hit well. When this one lands, the Razorbacks will take the lead. 4 will score on a grand slam from Gabe Frazier. How about your first college home run going for a slam? And some happy folks up on the ledge out in deep right. And that's one pumped up freshman infielder.
For good reason, too. He got a breaking ball up. And, well, he knew exactly what to do with it. That big lefty swing. And, yeah, just punished it. Making sure everybody knows, don't go up there. Don't leave that pitch up.
Sean, you knew it from the minute he made contact.
Yeah, I didn't realize it hit that deck on the building out there. He knew it, too. He flipped the bat and looked into the dugout.
Watch the fan come up with this baseball. It landed in somebody's lap. I mean, that's the easiest souvenir you'll get.
There you go. Looked like he was giving it away, too.
That's why I love those seats out there and right. You're in play, and Bears are going to make a pitching change. So Arkansas was in danger of maybe not scoring this inning. A blink of an eye later, they scored 5. Schaaf pitched well. He leaves on a bad note. 5-4 Hogs in front.
Oh, there's a freshman teeing off. A breaking ball left a little bit too up and maybe a little too in. And you want to talk about having some confidence going into the back half of this game.
5-4. Razorbacks now in front. That changed in a hurry. And here's Bogenpole.
I don't think I could pull that one off.
Well, it might be worth trying. I mean, we went out to the Hog Pen for a little enjoyment before the game.
Yeah, go meet the fans.
Ricky B, his wife Dee, has a birthday, and they were celebrating out in the Hog Pen as only they can as super fans. I was saying, though, last inning, Sean, there they are. Rick's in the front row. What did he tell you? Last year he went to 113 different Arkansas sporting events with a season ticket holder at maybe 7 different sports.
I think it might have been more than that. I think it was
8.
North of 120.
Okay. I don't want to shortchange him.
That's why I asked him. I said, it's my job to go to 140 games a year.
Right.
What are you doing?
Bybee back out for a second inning of work. I was saying, though, to me, the art form of managing or coaching a baseball team is the ability to rest a veteran, throw somebody off the bench that can come through to give your team a boost, to make the most of their opportunity, and then see that regular benefit from not playing on an everyday basis. And that's a called strike to Bogenpole. That's hard to do, and you see a lot of managers and coaches that have been doing this a long time that struggle to find that art form.
Well, the best ones don't just rest the veteran and put the younger guy in for reps. They put the younger guy in a position that he or she can succeed in, which is a big part.
Hard chopper to first. Kojal there. They'll take it to the pillow unassisted, and there's one out.
I think that's like such an important part that sometimes I know you don't forget it because you've had kids come up through athletics, but building up confidence and building up a kid's ability to work through situations, it can be really tricky because those are nervy situations. They're nerves that some of these kids aren't used to going through yet.
It's a fluid situation, right? Confidence ebbs and flows as Rodriguez takes one a little bit up. But, I see, and you kid me about this, I see baseball at every level. I mean, it could be the youth all-star games, the high school, the JUCOs, the colleges, the minor leagues, the major leagues. And you see at the end of the year, there's some teams where guys are just dragging. And you're like, maybe had you given that guy a couple of off days, maybe he wouldn't be dragging, and maybe the guy at the end of the bench who you now want to pinch hit wouldn't be useless if you used him at some point.
Yeah, and I think it really the overusage is a big problem in the like.
That one smoked into right for a base hit. Second hit for Rodriguez.
The early stages of baseball, right, where we see how many times. I mean, I remember in Little League we kind of had the same pitcher going every single day, and we've learned over time that may not be the best thing. See, he just pumps that one through the right side on a line.
It brings up McCutcheon, who had a 2-run double back in the 3rd inning. You have a 25-man roster, a 30-man roster, whatever level it is, because it takes that many over a season. And I know there's a lot of teams that believe next year with a 30-man roster, it's something Missouri State is used to, you're going to be a little bit shorthanded. For example, Arizona and West Virginia played a 16-inning game in their series opener last weekend at Morgantown. There is no AAA or AA team to call up a pitcher from. I mean, you have to manage the rest of the series as McCutcheon fouls one back. And quite frankly, sometimes in these midweek games, it's Matt Hobbs' job to kind of figure out who do I need to throw, and then how do I manage that around game situations.
Yeah, and I think sometimes, too, the numbers are a little bit tricky because you're looking, it's like, okay, well, it's 30 guys. Well, if you carry 13 pitchers, it's not 30 guys that you can run out there onto the field. It's, you're only going to get 3, maybe 4 guys into a game pitching. And then the rest is just, can I get my catcher a day here? How bad do we need this game? Maybe there's a matchup that doesn't favor him and you want to get the other guy in. Whatever it is, but there's a lot that goes into it.
DVH has said on multiple occasions that you have to be willing to lose a game here or there. And I know it's a hard scenario for some teams. What do you mean we have to be ready to lose a game? You have to find out something about a pitcher or a position player that may benefit you in April or May or June. And to do that, you may sit an Iredale. You may sit somebody that's used to playing that's not playing tonight, but maybe you'll benefit from that down the road. It is a hard concept, I know, because everybody's saying, what do you mean? I might put my team at a slight disadvantage because I don't have one of the most feared hitters in the league in my lineup? Yes, that's what we mean.
And another angle of it, and not that we want to beat the dead horse, but at the same time, take a total look. How many times have you seen where a guy gets that blow, he gets on the bench, and he sits over there? It's a different angle. He's looking at things through a new lens. He's not trying to figure out what he's going to do in his next at-bat, and he comes in with a better game plan next time.
I think sometimes it allows you to relax. It allows you to see the game on a different basis, and I wasn't even thinking along those lines, but I completely agree. A 2-2 to McCutcheon. Ground ball to the left side. Can Vahiva get there? He can. Can he get it out? His throw to first base just about led to an out, but the ball kicked away from Kojal, and that's a heads-up base running decision by Rodriguez to go to third. I thought Vahiva might go to second. He let that ball go to first. Had Kojal picked it, I don't think there was going to be an out, but that was a really good effort.
Yeah, and that was a tough play going away from the throw to then have to leave his feet and try and get it over to first base. And make no mistake, the throw was accurate. Here we get a good look at it. I mean, that is a perfectly placed chopper from the outfield grass, a leaping throw, and still probably would not have gotten him if it was secured over there at first base, but still a super athletic play to be able to get the ball over there.
His pants are a mess. I still think something's wrong with that hand, that wrist, or something. Anyhow, Tag Gollert, the cleanup hitter, is 0 for 2. He's lined out to third. He's popped up to first. Bobby trying to fight his way through this inning now that his teammates have put him in front by a run. High fly to right. Diggs has a long run to get there. This should tie the game. The catch is made. Rodriguez will tag and score. We're tied at 5 on the sac fly from Gollert. And that extra base that Rodriguez got on that throw to first enables the Bears to cash in. That's a couple of times tonight where they've used extra bases to be able to get a run without a hit.
Yeah, and you know, it's also for Gobbert, it's a great piece of hitting right there to be ready for that fastball. It's not like Bivey's out there throwing, you know, softballs. It's 93 miles per hour. It's still able to hit that ball in the air. I thought it was going to be, you know, to more shallow right field.
I did too.
With the way that it kind of climbed early on in that sequence.
Very little breeze. What wind there is kind of drifting out to right, but nonetheless, it's a 5-5 game. And Max Knight walked and scored back in the second. Power hitter out of the state of Oklahoma, Oklahoma State transfer, Bixby, Oklahoma native. Another throw to first, and back in diving is McCutcheon, who's stolen just 1 in 4 tries, which is interesting. Outfield and infield pretty much straight away all the way around. Healthy rip and a miss by Knight. It's going to be fouled back and out of play. Bears jumped out to a 4-0 lead. Arkansas had a 5-4 advantage coming into this frame, and Bears have evened things up. Boy, Bobby's really concerned with the runner.
He's, like you mentioned, he's attempted 4 stolen bases this year. So at least we know he likes to run if he gets the opportunity.
2-strike pitch floated out into right center field. Diggs was playing deep. He'll take that on a bounce. His throw will go through, and for some reason Frazier jumped over it. What in the world just happened there? The ball ends up in the camera well, and a run will score. That throw was not going to get McCutchen, and I think DVH is asking the exact same question I am. Frazier jumped up in the air, so he wasn't in a position to take the ball in a bounce. I don't know if he was worried about the runner, but because he didn't knock it down, it goes out of play.
Talk about a really bad break right here. I mean, it was, you already had Diggs playing deep in right field, so he has to come in. That ball drops in front. Let's see, he winds up and skips it in there, and Frazier jumped over McCutchen, it looked like, going into the bag.
Well, he did.
And he just did not, he wasn't able, I mean, he was still off of his feet by the time that ball leaked through. You would think, though, it was so low that it wouldn't have gotten into the seats with how it came in, because it was a very low-line throw from Diggs that skipped a couple times on the infield.
I would agree. Just wasn't in a position to knock that ball down. So, Bears, and now EVH is talking to Frazier right now. 6-5, Bears in front. This was the single dumped out into right. And again, McCutchen was going to third. You'll see it here from this angle. He jumped over the sliding runner, and that ball went into the camera well. I don't know if there's supposed to be a door there and it wasn't closed because the camera person was shooting. My guess is that probably needs to be shut, that door. And it cost Arkansas a run.
I think, too, you're talking about a throw coming in from right field. And when I looked at that replay, Bobby was kind of closer to home plate on the line. So he wasn't there to back up the play.
That's correct, too. And meanwhile, Dylan Carter comes on to pitch. Senior out of Bentonville inherits now a 1-run deficit. So Fisher, who had been good, and Bobby, who had been good, both get touched up for some damage. And the Bears right back in front. And we'll see how long Dylan Carter might be asked to go. We're told there may not even be doors over there in front of those cameras. So I tell you what, the ball found the right spot, didn't it?
I think it's even more important to make sure you're in the right backup spot if you know that door's not over there.
Good point. Valid
point.
Right
behind the base.
Sutherland softly fouls one back for a play such as that. There it is. I mean, that ball just tracked right on in. Hits a few feet to the right. It hits that cushion. It propels back, and McCutchen can't score.
Obviously glad the photographer wasn't sitting on the top step either.
Pitch for a strike at 94 mph, 95 on TrackMan. Three singles this inning for Missouri State. That's a wave and a miss. Becker's going to have to complete the strikeout with a throw to first, and Dylan Carter takes care of the batter he faces, but the Bears get a couple of runs and back in front as we're halfway done. Well, the Hogs had another big inning just in the fourth. Another frame of 5 to 6 runs. So that is now, 16 times this year that they have had 5 runs or more in an inning. Of course, they had an 8-run first the other day. They had a 12-run frame against Oral Roberts. You saw one of those big innings just about the time I was texting you and Josh in the opening game of that Charlotte series, wondering what in the world you had done.
You blamed us.
I may have, yes.
Have you ever been in control of anything happening on the field when you're sitting up here? Because if so, we need to have another conversation.
Wizardry powers, maybe, I don't know.
Well, I don't have any.
I feel like sometimes there's Maxwell, and he fouls one back that I can get into a rhythm with a lucky pen that has some wins in it, so I continue to use said pen for a period of time as if that ink alone is my scorebook and dictate the outcomes of games.
All you old-time broadcasters and your superstitions.
You young guys are fancy. You don't have scorebooks. You have iPads and whatnot. Maxwell lifts one in the air to center. This ball is going to travel near the track, but Bogenpol has room to make the catch for the first out. Maxwell started last inning with a single. He's one of 5 Razorbacks to score, but that guy looks like a defensive end, doesn't he? Bogenpol with the broad shoulders, kind of strutting back to his position.
Yeah, it's not often that you can clearly see the silhouette of a human being 400 feet away, but there he is.
Kahia Wadoy ripped a single into center. Back in the 4th. 3 infielders on the left side of the diamond. He's also popped to first of the game. That ball's driven in the air, left center field, not quite enough, I don't believe, and back is Bogenpol again to make the catch. Off the bat, fans got excited, but it only went about 370 feet, and there he is again. He just been active this inning. Must have caught that. Not quite square, not quite on the barrel. The 2 flyouts, and Kojal, who singled and walked, will hit. Well, there's another hit bat. Stewart just missed way too far in there.
The good news is it's a breaking ball. The bad news is still got hit.
Funny thing is, on a scouting report, they talk about really good control. He has some incredible spin on that breaking pitch. Meanwhile, Kendall Diggs was the batter, and he is going to give way to Carson Bowles. So they're going to play right-handed hitter on left-handed pitcher here. Carson hasn't had a lot of playing time, but he's made the most of it. 5 for 13. Hit a couple of balls into the wind a week or so ago that probably would have been a homer on a normal night. No such wind this evening. That one gets by Zera and goes to the backstop. Feels like that was a ball that should have been caught. Certainly the Bears have made the most out of some free bases, so to speak, getting runners in a scoring position, and maybe Arkansas will try and return the favor.
Spin on that changeup right there, and kind of heard it from the crowd where they thought it might have been a strike too.
Yeah, plus changeup is what the scouting report says on Stewart. Hits that outside corner for a called strike.
Just throwing changeups whole time, and it's got a lot of that arm side run
Sure
too,
does.
and the depth where it gets it gets low pretty quick on you. It's you can see why he's using it.
That one, I think, Bowles saw it in the hand. Hard enough to come off the bench and pinch hit. It's another thing when guys are throwing you change ups. We're here in the Gloman. You're trying to have nighttime settle in and be able to see, and he's throwing a good one. But a hitter's count for Carson Bowles. That was a breaking pitch there, wasn't it?
It was. That one kind of looked like a saucer coming in there.
Sure
Just
did.
sort of stayed up and then cut back.
Bowles got just enough to softly foul it back. Base hit would probably tie the game as deep as the outfielders are playing. And the payoff pitch misses in. Breaking ball again, ball 4. So a 2-out hit batter. Wild pitch and a walk, and it brings up Nolan Souza. Now this is a case where we talked about Nolan when he struck out in the 4th. He's seen so many changeups this year and so many issues kind of identifying that pitch, and maybe this left-on-left matchup will completely take it out of the equation for Stewart. We've seen that breaking ball that Bowles took for a walk. They're playing the left fielder McCutcheon way over in front of the bullpen again. Souza takes a fastball down and in, I believe.
Such a big spot in this game. Lights are on and finally not dealing with all the glare from the sun. Obviously the Bears still shifting, moving guys around and everything, but you've got 2 outs like this and a couple of runners on, and you're trailing by a run after you fought back and had that 5-run inning.
That's a pretty good pitch to hit, taken for a called strike. Arkansas down a run in the bottom of the 5th. Little soft flare to center. Bogenpol will take it on a bounce. He's got a chance with a good throw to get a runner at the plate. Sliding in safely is Kojal. An accurate throw, but Arkansas ties the game on the bloop from Souza. 6 apiece.
It's a great sequence of events right there. You get, again, that's another good at bat from Souza. Struck out twice, this time stayed in there, got himself a pitch to hit. Didn't try to do anything crazy with it. You could see a real disciplined swing, strokes it into center field, and those outfielders playing back, able to get it down. Then you've got to deal with Bogenpol and that good arm, and he throws it on a line to home plate. But
look where Zara's at, Sean.
I was going to say, he's out in front like that trying to get the ball, but how about the slide from Kojal, being able to get in there, know he needs to get further into foul ground, and then kind of hook slide to get that left hand in, make sure he avoids any type of tag or collision at the plate.
No, great slide. I feel like if Zara's standing on top of the plate, he might discourage Kojal from even getting into the dish, and maybe would have had a chance to catch that laser from Bogenpol. Instead, Arkansas has tied the game. We get a pitching change. We'll step aside. 6-6 game, bottom 5 at Baum Walker. Watch this throw again, Sean. I'm wondering if Zara stands on top of the plate. Whether this throw from Bogenpol, which had some giddy up to it, might have been able to put, I think it would have been. I think he catches that ball on top of the plate and doesn't have to lunge behind him. He might be able to put that tag right in his chest.
Yeah, and it also takes the angle away for Kojal, right? I mean, at that point, he has to, if he's behind the plate, you may have to go in front of the plate to complete that slide.
Here's Gabe Smith, freshman from Illinois, lower arm slot pitcher. Going to face Zane Becker. Pumps in strike 1. Becker was hit by a pitch with the bases loaded in the 4th when Arkansas was trailing 4-0. 3 base runners with 2 outs this inning. And there's that run. There's that arm slot from Smith. Third pitcher used by Missouri State. Yanked that one. Both runners advance on the wild pitch.
The breaking ball that just got away from him and went right to the backstop. I mean, Zara really didn't even have much of a chance to catch that pitch.
He did not. Wild pitches and hit batters are on quite a streak here. Becker waiting at a 2-1. Club to left, down the line, bending foul, and it's out of play. That was just about at home run distance from Becker.
This has got to be such a strange experience for anybody coming in here on a day like this. Beautiful weather, so the place is packed. You're on a mound for the first time and the last time probably for this season, right? And so you've got to go in, you've got to find a way to get your nerves down quickly, and then you have to find a way to get adjusted to that mound and throw strikes, because let's not forget there's 2 runners in scoring position in a tie game.
Because if you really want to throw a breaking ball here in the back of your mind, and what a picturesque view that is, you know, am I going to skip this breaking pitch? Am I going to send it to the backstop? Can I land it, or do I throw the fastball? Becker strokes one out to right. Stewart on the run. He's not going to get there. It's off the base of the fence. It'll chase home a couple of runners. Arkansas is back in front. Another freshman delivers. This time it's Zane Becker. And Arkansas with an 8-6 lead.
You know, usually when you see the ball start to bounce around in the outfield and split outfielders on the way back, that's at least a triple. He hit that one too hard for that ball to really rattle around out there. It hit the base of the wall, hit it really hard.
Look how shallow Stewart's playing.
I mean, it is interesting to see all the different positions that these outfielders for Missouri State have taken, because we've seen McCutcheon kind of hugging the line out there. We've seen Stewart playing very deep at times, that time pretty shallow. You have, Bogenpole out there in center field. He's moving left of center, right of center, in, out. They go all over the place, and they've gotten burned a couple times for it. Now, keep in mind, the stats say if they're there most of the time, they'll make the outs.
Frazier got a strike called on him because he wasn't ready in the box, and there was a mild protest before a wild pitch advances Becker to third. I'm with you. You shift for a reason, because the numbers or the data bears out that the ball will be put in play there a lot, but it doesn't mean all of the time, and that's the unpredictable nature of this crazy game.
And that's the part that a lot of these coaches and strategists usually get slammed on by fans, is that, you move that guy all the way over there, and that ball got hit, that ball got into the gap and scored runs and everything. And it's like, what you don't understand is the batting average isn't zero for that, right?
That's right.
We have an 80% chance of making that play. So that's why you put the guy there and you say, okay, every 10 at-bats, 2 guys are going to get a hit. And you hope that there's nobody on when that happens.
And Frazier is going to wave and miss. So the inning ends, but Arkansas scores 3. We're bouncing back and forth, but right now it's the Hawks in front by a pair. Tell you what, it's a busy game summary. In the 4th inning, Arkansas got 4 with 1 swing from Gabe Frazier. A little bat twirl as well as he sent one to the fans up on the top shelf. In the 5th, though, Bears came back with this sac fly from Gollard, part of a 2-run inning. This was a bizarre play. The single from Knight. Diggs skipped a throw. Frazier jumped over it. It went into the camera well. And then Arkansas came back, got 3 runs of their own, all but 2 outs. Souza had the bloop in front of Bogenpole and scored Cam Kojal with this nice slide at the back tip of the plate. And then Becker with the 2-run double to right center field. And Sean, I get the feeling we're not done as far as the runs go this evening.
It certainly doesn't feel like it, does it? It's been pretty consistent as far as the scoring goes after those first couple of innings. And, we look up and, the hit column's 9-6, so there's only 3 hits separating the 2 of them. And like I said, steady scoring from the 2nd inning on. We've had a run in every inning but the 1st.
Some type of shot from our center field camera. This is Zach Stewart facing Dylan Carter. D1 Baseball lists their top draft prospects out of the Missouri Valley Conference in 2025, and they have Stewart 4th for everybody in their league, and Gollert and Rodriguez a little bit further down. And I guess part of the storyline for the Bears is this is their last year in the Valley. They'll be on to Conference USA, so it will have a different feel. Valley's been a good baseball league for them at times. Good pitch from Carter, cut on and missed. In 1991, when the Bears were a 40-plus win team in the Valley, there were 2 teams in their own league that went to Omaha, Wichita State and Creighton. Had some good baseball teams and good baseball programs, but a constant shifting landscape in the college world. Baseball's not immune. Two to Zach Stewart. That ball's launched in the air, right center field of the scoreboard. Will it clear it? What a titanic blast from Zach Stewart. That's the power that this team can display. And after a couple of strikeouts, this long ball makes this a 1-run game. And I said we weren't done from scoring. I didn't think I meant the very next batter, but that is the case. Did that clear the darn scoreboard in right center?
I think I saw a drop in front of it, but that is still, it probably hit the top of the scoreboard up there where the Baum Walker sign is at the top. But, he knew it right off the bat and just flicked it right back toward the dugout. Said, I'm going to go on a little jog. I'll be right back. And let's see. Oh, no, it hit.
It did.
About, I don't know, 3/4 of the way
I
up
think
the
that's
actual
about
video
right.
board.
Yeah, left side of the video board. His 4th home run. Epstein had a homer in the 4th inning. It was his 2nd. I don't think we're done with the long balls either.
Yeah, this Bears offense is really, I mean, they are taking the A swings every time they get up there.
Coach Hawkins again told us, he's got some hitters with more than a couple thousand combined college at bats. And Hawkins was the hitting coach before taking over as the head coach with Keith Gutton's retirement. Keith is here doing radio tonight, but of course Joey Hawkins played for Nate Thompson, who's Arkansas's hitting coach. I think he employs some of the same philosophies. He called Nate innovative, and they've got the boxing gloves and all the fun props that the Hogs used during BP. Well, that didn't miss by much, that pitch.
I mean, that was a whisker off, if at all. I mean, it's everybody in the ballpark seemed a little stunned right there.
I think so too. See that duo? Payoff pitch, chop foul. I think the fun part for any coach, well, there's two parts. I think one is putting players at the next level. If you're a high school coach, getting them to college. If you're a college coach, getting them to the professional ranks. But also growing your tree, so to speak, of players that become coaches. There's a wave and a miss. Epstein down on strikes. Carter second K. But, I don't think there's any greater honor than seeing people that you coached kind of follow in your footsteps in their own path, their own journey.
No, I mean, that's across the board in life, though, right? I mean, think about all the things your kids have achieved so far. You've brought them up, taught them and everything like that. Now they're out on their own doing their thing. It's very fulfilling, and you get that from a lot of these coaches where they look at their roster of 30 guys as their kids, and they're really, all the coaches are trying to help them along.
Certainly an element of pride. Zara waves and misses. 0 for 2 in the evening to this point. Hawks leading by a run in the top of the 6th. And again, Arkansas will travel to Springfield in a few weeks for a game there. So playing these Bears not once but twice. Sarah missed that by a couple of feet. I don't know if he thought he foul tipped that or not. He argued briefly. I thought he missed it by a wide margin. Maybe he thought he had made contact. Let's see.
I think you're going to get more of that as this game goes on. I mean, like you
right.
said, that was buried. That was
he missed it by 2 feet.
It was intentionally in the dirt. But again, it's a one-run game, so we're going to fight tooth and nail for every pitch.
I was talking about Division I baseball, D1Baseball.com having Zach Stewart highly ranked for top Missouri Valley Conference draft picks. And even though the Bears will not be in the Valley next year, there's no doubt who leads that 26 list. It is Bogenpoel. A smash to Aloy. Picks that like it was no problem. That was 114 off the bat shot, and he handled that calmly.
That was unbelievable. That ball got on him in a split second, and Aloy made it look so good and so smooth. I mean, is there anybody really that's picking it like that right now on the field?
Well, for the Bears, their 35th and last season in the Valley. 6 regular season championships. They've won 5 tournament championships. Of course, they've represented the conference in the regionals, moving to CUSA. And there's always a moment of sadness, too, when you change leagues. There's been years of going to the same locations. Rivalries kind of go by the boards just a bit. But here's Brody McNeil, 6'4", left-handed freshman. On the pitch. Curveball changeup and what is described as elite extension fastball. So he must really hand this ball off to his catcher. This is Davidan. There's another multi-hit game. When Arkansas came home from Globe Life after they played at the home of the Rangers, they were 7 games into their season. Davidan had 2 hits in the first 7. That one's ripped down the line and right. That's a fair ball, and it's going to take a bounce into the corner. 3 more hits tonight for Davidoff. So, Sean, after 7 games, he had 2 hits. Now he has 43.
We know. This is unreal. I mean, just kind of got one inner half, turned on it, and burned it all the way out into the corner. One hop the wall.
That's 41 hits in 19 games.
I mean, it's really hard to pick out a hitter in this lineup who's not doing more than what the job would entail.
Well, you're right. And I know Vahiva's not thrilled with an 0 for 3. He made an incredible defensive play to end last inning on a ball that was hit 114 miles an hour at him on a bounce. But he's going to smoke one down the line and left. That's fair. Into the corner. Davidoff will score. Aloy's going to trade places. That's RBI number 34 for Vahiva. We saw the glove. Now we see the bat. Hawks up by a pair.
And he hit a breaking ball there, too, and hit it right on the screws. Just a fair ball down the line. And that is an easy way to get Davidoff's wheels turning, right? I mean, just a smashed ball out about halfway into left field. And that one dribbles into the left field corner. And you can see for a left fielder here, sometimes it's a little bit tricky because that sidewall angles all the way back, all the way up the line until you only have about 4 or 5 feet out there in the corner. And so those deflections can go really anywhere but backwards.
Yeah, you want to get to that ball before it gets to you. Logan Maxwell is 1 for 3. Tried to bunt his way on earlier. Shift not employed here with Sutherland.
So we keep pointing out the big spots in this game because it's been very competitive, I think is a good way to put it. And this is another big spot here.
Because you want some separation. I'm with you. It feels like this has been, by the way, a really entertaining Tuesday game. Some of these can be yawn fest. Not the case this evening. Arkansas has added a run this inning, and for Davidoff, 15 straight games he has scored a run. That has to be a record, doesn't it?
It's 33 runs in 15 games.
I mean,
teams don't do that.
15 straight games with the run. I know he's got some thumpers behind him like Maxwell, Aloy, and Iredale, and kind of a United Nations of hitters as Maxwell takes a strike. But that is ridiculous.
It is. You know, the other thing I was going to say is earlier on we had seen the graphic about 10.6 runs per game for Arkansas right now. Was it over the last 8 games? Well, they're knocking on the door here. They're at 9 runs, and we talked about how hard it is to beat a team who you have to score 11 runs a night to be able to beat a team like that. That's tough.
It is tough. And you know, we talked about Arkansas on Sunday. They're off to their best start in program history ever through 25 games. And it's also the highest scoring lineup through 25 games, at least going back a couple of decades with some of the work that Matt Jones did. And team averaging about 9.6 a game. That is 7th nationally, as Maxwell chases a high one and down on strikes for the first out of the inning. We may have to track that in the next homestand. Who are these teams that are scoring more runs per game? Are they Power 5? Are they mid-major? Because I want to tip my hat to all of them.
Yeah, it does. If you're in Little League and you're scoring 10.6 runs per game, that's still highly impressive, and it doesn't matter who's at the plate or anything. It's designed to be a difficult game to score in, and when you're doing it easily, it blows the mind.
Cahillo just missed a home run back in the 5th. And we've talked about it. You know, you're seeing different pitchers tonight, and the shifting is employed based on data. You've got some good arms and good defenders. It is supposed to be difficult. There are nights that you might make good contact and just not get rewarded.
And you've seen it where it's the whole team that happens to.
Correct.
Seems like everybody's hitting it 99, 100, 105, and it's the old atom ball. It's just right at the fielder. They make an easy play, and you're off and running. Now, granted, those high exit velocity ones, you're not going to throw a no-hitter like that. But you can get a win.
You're right. Cahillo will just be encouraged to go to first base without completing the sequence. And this was a case with a right-handed hitter up against this lefty. They would just prefer to face Kojal. I think that's a smart move. But I kind of felt like Arkansas wasn't hitting a ton of hard balls in the first 3 innings, but I kind of felt like, well, maybe this is one of their nights where they just kind of lay the proverbial egg, where they don't terrorize teams. So here they are, mid-game. They've got 9, looking for more. As Kojal takes one a little bit out.
And you think about it, too. Think about what you just said. How unrealistic are the expectations
you're right.
to say these guys are going to go out there every night, they're going to bring their A game, and they're going to destroy all the competition?
Valid point. Kojal takes a strike, because when you start to expect what is really difficult to do, as you mentioned, at any level in baseball, it's when you almost need to take a step back, take a deep breath, and say, well, we know this game is unpredictable. But the consistency by which they've been putting forth these ABs has been impressive. Now, they're not comfortable at a 2-run lead. And Kojal has seen some good stuff here from this left-hander McNeil.
I mean, I can even remember, you know, when I was playing high school and facing college guys and stuff like that. Sometimes you just take a step back and you go, it's not even that it's tough, it's just unfair.
It's unfair. It can be. Kojal kind of reaching for that pitch. Spoiled it. Arkansas had a stretch, Sean, you weren't here on Sunday, where the starter was a spot starter. And by the way, the reason he was a spot starter, because he was in the bullpen during BP the day before he got hit on the head for a concussion. We were out there dodging missiles in the hog pen, and we were way back, but it didn't work for Eskew. So they had to start a guy by the name of Jarvis Evans Jr., who cruised really through a couple of innings as Kojal fouls one back and out of play. And then in the 3rd inning, his pitch count went from 40 to like 64 in 2 batters. It was a 12 pitch at bat, there was an 11 pitch at bat, and he's thinking, what do I got to do to get them to put the darn ball in play so I could potentially get an out? Long pause before the pitch to Kojal. That's popped up. By the way, this is not an easy play. It's probably the shortstop's ball, and Epstein makes the catch because McCutcheon was deep and near the line, and Sutherland was doing some circles out there, and that's the 2nd out.
Well, that shortstop sometimes is the superhero, and that time Epstein gets the job done, races in at that last moment, and able to pick that ball up out there in shallow left center. Like you said, that's a tricky play, even with a light breeze like we have going tonight.
Right. On some of the games we've had in the last few weeks, it's chaos with the winds howling. Well, the lefty got the lefty, and remember, Diggs no longer in the game. Bowles replaced him, so there is a right-hander, and see if Coach Hawkins wants to bring on a right-handed reliever. He's 4 pitchers deep. He did mention, listen, it's a bit of a challenge this midweek game because you want to be fully rested, so to speak, for the weekend. But pitching change. Step aside, Arkansas leading 9-7 here in the bottom of the 6th inning.
No, we've got a 2-run game. Arkansas is up 9-7, and we've got a new pitcher out of the Bears bullpen. It'll be Garrett Ferguson who takes the mound, the junior at 6'1", 205 pounds. He's got a fastball that rides up to 94 miles per hour, and they say it's got elite ride. After that, slider, low 80s. It's been a real difference maker lately for him. And then the changeup in the low 80s, which is a nice change of pace pitch.
This is Carson Bowles. Did you sing Jesse's Girl for our control room, Caden and Kogan?
You know, I was busy trying to get Ferguson's information and just.
Well, Jesse's got himself a girl, and I want to make her mine. You know, that was, I think, the theme of that song. As Bowles takes one, and the count's a ball and a strike.
Is that what you do? You sing to the control room a lot?
Every once in a while, just to punish them. Ferguson, by the way, from Blue Springs, Missouri. Bowles walked when he pinch hit in the 5th. Going to send one down the line in right. Heading to the seat. Stewart giving chase. Hair flying in the breeze, and it's out of play. little bit of an argument right now. Does somebody not make a play? We check in the, oh, someone bobbled it. We're looking at the seams on the baseball. He had it coming right to him, the one chance he had. And that baseball ends up in somebody else's hand.
And, you know, I can tell you the guy in the Hawaiian shirt, I've seen that look before. I've given that look. It's a look of shame and disappointment.
It is. Well said. 2-2 to Bulls.
You don't want to be sitting behind or next
No.
to the guy that can't make the play.
I mean, when you're reenacting it, usually it's because you felt like you should have made the play and you did not. You're too busy accepting high fives when you do make the play. See if Carson Bowles is due for a big swing. He's going to drive a ball in the air, right center field. Bogenpoel won't get there. It's down as to the advertising. It's going to score a run, maybe more. Here comes Cahillo. A 2-run double from Carson Bowles. It scored both of the Alloys. A Hawaiian punch, and it's 11-7 Arkansas.
When you come into a game and you're scouted and everybody knows your fastball is going to be your bread and butter, sometimes they're going to sit on those off-speed pitches, and it looks like that's exactly what Bowles does. Drives the ball deep all the way out to the wall there in right field, and, well, just clears the bases and provides that cushion. So now they're up to 11 runs, which means the average only goes up from
That's
here.
right. Get his tack on now. And here's Souza. Cahillo had a big smile on his face following his brother to the plate. He had a longer run. Souza singled in a run back in the 5th. So Arkansas, after not scoring, Sean, in the first 3 innings, has gone 5-3-3 in the next 3 frames.
It's a slow start.
It was a slow start. They had a lot of catching up to do.
They pushed the boulder downhill. I mean, that 5-run inning really opened things up for them, though, didn't it?
I guess when you get 4 on 1 swing, it helps, that process. Schaff, the starter, probably deserved better than when he left. Souza shoots one to left. This ball might have a chance to get back near the wall, off the base of the fence. Scoring is Bowles. Souza in at second base with a run-scoring double. The Hogs have reached a dozen again.
Well, Souza last time up ended up singling, getting a second on a wild pitch, and eventually coming around to score. Oh, by the way, he drove in a run that at bat too. And now he just rips a double. And that ball was out into the corner, which is strange. We've seen McCutcheon play that corner consistently tonight.
I mean, this ball's almost tracking to him.
And he was out there, but the problem is it was hit right down the line. It was only about 4 feet fair. So he had to go back on it. Plus he had to track more towards the line. It's just, especially with the way the ball carries when it comes off of these bats.
There's no doubt. And Becker will bat here. He's knocked in 3 runs, 2 with the double, 1 with the bases loaded, hit by pitch. So you play McCutcheon there all night. And there's the last couple of innings. And you get a ball really almost hit towards your left fielder in a dramatic shift, and it's hit so hard and had so much carry that it still didn't result in an out.
And that's the tough part, is that he was in a position where he needed to be for that particular at bat, right? But when you see a ball get hit that hard to that spot, like, it doesn't matter. I always think Billy Hamilton. Billy Hamilton was the speedster when I was growing up, right? Coming up, set the minor league record for stolen bases. Billy Hamilton could be out there. He's going to have a hard time getting
You're
that
right.
ball.
And if he does get there, he's going to be worried about running into a fence. And that's a wave and a miss. Becker will chase to end the inning. Arkansas gets 4. Hogs have scored a dozen. They're Blue Springs native. So we had one following another from different teams. Cole Gibbler on to work here in the 7th inning. 7 innings, 3.86 earned run average. He's going to face the heart of the lineup here in the top of the 7th. And Nick Rodriguez had a couple of hits, 2 for 3 so far.
So even in these midweek games like we're talking about, this is a great test for Gibbler to get into this game, because, you know, you've got a decent lead but it's not one that you can be lax with.
I would agree. It's got some juice. That ball has some juice. Traveling out to left. It's going to the hard pin, and it's gone. This is the second straight inning the Bears have led off with a ringing bomb. Last inning, Stewart. This inning, Rodriguez. And Missouri State, we knew they had some power, and it's on display this evening.
He just hit an opposite field rocket right there. And that ball just carried right up and out. I mean, that ball was going away from him. And he still found a way to stand in there, even with that pull-heavy look to his swing. And that ball cleared the wall by a pretty good, that was over the bullpen and into the burn, or the hog pen out there.
105 off the bat. Here's McCutchen. We were talking about McCutchen last inning. And by the way, he's been on base all 3 times with a couple of hits. Couple of runs batted in. He was tracking that double that Souza hit, and we were talking about him maybe running into the fence. Remember last year, I think it was the first conference game at Indiana State, he did run into the fence and broke his arm and was out the rest of the year. So if ever there was somebody who gets some dispensation when it comes from running into fences, it should be him.
Absolutely. I mean, that's not something, the injury itself will go away, but you got to find a way to get over that, because that's, I don't know how many times I've seen athletes where great athletes, great baseball players, and they can't do something specific because they hurt themselves doing it, and they're trying to work through that.
Well, Gibbler, I'm sure, was summoned because of an opportunity to go after these left-handed hitters. Bounced that pitch after he gave up the home run. In Arkansas, just like that, of course, more activity rolling in their bullpen. So I think both of these teams might, in some aspects, sort of empty their allotment of pitchers, at least those scheduled to throw. That looked pretty good.
93 right around the knees. You take it and get rewarded. That is, I mean, with 2 strikes, that's a tough take.
It is a tough take. Similar spot, ball 4.
I was going to say, that pitch is a tough take in that situation, too.
I missed my track man, but I guess credit to McCutchen for reaching. Where is that at, he wants to know. I knew we would get a reaction shot from DVH, because I thought the first one maybe might chew a little bit. The second one wanted to know where it was at, and I think Mark Hutchinson, the umpire, took his 2 hands and motioned to the left like it was out. And Gollert now the batter. So the 2 lefties have reached. Now it's right-hander Gollert doing a sac fly back in the 5th.
I'm waiting for the day that we pan to a coach and they're looking out to the mound going, don't throw that anymore. It's not going to be called a strike. Don't throw it.
Arkansas got so used to the run rules. They had 9, and it really looked like they were going to get one on Saturday when they had 8 runs in the first inning, but finished 12-3. So they haven't reached double figures in run rules. A lot of these midweek games have been candidates. Tell you what, this is a battle between these 2 teams.
They are not giving up a single pitch on the Missouri State side. They are up there battling. They're taking close pitches that they think are balls, and the strike zone discipline has been pretty good here in this game so far.
Pitch is down 2-2. We just got a shot of somebody throwing in the bullpen. That leads to the question, what in the heck is going on? I don't know if Iredale is a knuckleball specialist or whether he's messing around. This is a staff that doesn't strike me as if they'd say, hey, just go out there and mess around tonight. Strike 3 called. Not sure if DVH maybe earned that call over the inside corner, but Gibbler needed an out, and he got one on the strikeout.
Knocked the buttons off his shirt, too. That was in, and you could even see there just trying to get that hip out of the way to try and, we talk about catchers framing pitches. Hitters frame pitches, too. Their body language makes it look further inside or out, and sometimes they get strikes or balls called based off that.
And Max Knight will take a strike. I'm really intrigued by Iredale out there. Does an Australian knuckleball look different? Something when you throw from down under, or?
I was going to say, it probably breaks the opposite direction, right?
Wave it a miss.
Maybe the knuckleball from Australia floats up.
Maybe. Don't you feel like we have to see it at some point?
I would love to see it. I think he knows.
Yeah, he knows where he's on camera. I'm not sure what the SEC Network Plus situation is in Australia. I need to ask. 0-2 tonight. That's a good two-strike pitch, but off the plate. By the way,
better take.
Yeah, I would agree. I think never, with all the technology in our baseball history, have hitters understood the strike zone more than now. Wave and a miss, back-to-back Ks. That's why you want the left-hander in there in the left-handed heavy portion of this lineup.
Yeah, and I think too, more, going based off of what you said there, on the other side of it, where the hitters know the strike zone really well, the pitchers also have advanced scouting reports that can tell you what hitters like to do in particular counts, even down to the pitch. What's got the highest percentage chance of them swinging in that count?
How about a Baker's dozen 13 strikeouts? Sutherland has contributed 2 of those. Gibbler was greeted by the home run, then walked a batter. He's gone strikeout since. He's ahead of Sutherland, 0-2. Tell you what, Sean, sometimes late in these Tuesday games, people head for home. I'm looking down the right field line, looking down the left field line in the stands. There's not many empty seats. These fans enjoying a beautiful night on this chapter of this rivalry. Wave and a miss. Well, it didn't start great for Gibbler, but it certainly did with 3 straight Ks.
Got another great pitch. Ends up with the 14th hog strikeout of the night.
Updating. Math can be fun. Arkansas now has 15 games with 10 or more runs. Most under Dave Van Horn in first 26 games of a season. Talked about the run rules. And of course in conference play, that's pretty hard to do that in 6 conference games too. I know this league has never been older. Old means strong. Certainly there's velocity. Conditions have been hitter friendly. Those numbers are still absurd. More Canadians. This is Caleb Thomas. He's going to get to face Davalon in the Quebec versus Ontario battle here soon, but he's thrown 9 2/3 innings of work this campaign with 12 Ks. He's pitcher number 6 used by Missouri State. He has kind of a unique delivery. Almost kind of twists that entire body forward. Slings it.
He's another guy that's got 4 pitches too. He's fastball, slider, changeup, curve. And Missouri State says that his slider might be the best non-fastball pitch on the team.
Well, now I am intrigued. Feel like I need to see that too.
I think you're going to get to.
Whether I get Iredale's knuckleball, maybe that is to be determined. Frazier, Davalon, and Aloy. Arkansas's lead is 4. Frazier had the grand slam in the 4th, couple of hits so far this evening, and did strike out back in the 5th. He started that count with a strike after he wasn't in the box in time. Arkansas has 13 hits to go along with their 12 runs. Lifted to left, McCutcheon going over. Don't run into that fence either. Sidewall or not, about 6 rows deep.
Frazier's another guy. He's just up there taking his hacks. He's gotten into the game and he is ready to roll. He hit the grand slam earlier, and now that ball took a good pass at it there.
Came out of Orange Lutheran High School in California, same high school I believe as Garrett Cole of the Yankees. Another one lifted to left, but not enough carry here, and McCutcheon will hang with it, make the catch for the first down. Got a good old Canadian battle coming up here. Toronto against Montreal, Ontario against Quebec.
Oh, yes, the legendary rivalry.
Yes. We had 5 Hawaiians in the series with Oral Roberts. And the paper did a nice job breaking down that Seuss had played against one in high school. And I said to Nolan, beforehand, hey, what do you know about your Hawaiians? And he goes, who? And I showed him, and he goes, what? And then I showed him where he played against them in high school, and he goes, oh, yeah. So there's no guarantee that, there's any understanding of this between Davidan and Thomas. Batting average up to .422 with another 3-hit game. One time he was retired, he flied out to center. Foul ball came up and hit him in the side of the helmet.
You could bet he's probably up there thinking, I'm going to make Brett Dolan update that stat again.
15 games, scoring a run, 33 runs scored. Jared Wagner did it longer but scored fewer. Tavian Josenberger as well. One thing about Davidan to me is the way he has worn out left field. And what's unique here about this shift, and you have to be able to pitch to this shift, the third baseman's playing where the shortstop might normally play, so he's got a lot of real estate to his right or to the left side of the field. So you better not leave a pitch outside that he could just flick to left, because he can do that all day. And yet he tried to yank, and there's that breaking ball. Spin rate 3,002. Giddy up.
That will move quite a bit on you. And you could see there, I mean, he just went down and kind of middle away. That is a really tough pitch to even get the bat on.
3,000. That gets your attention. I mean, we've seen guys here 28, 2,900, and you pay attention then. Not quite the same spin there as Vahiva takes a strike. Doubled in a run in his last at bat. And it's quickly 0-2. In this era of analytics, even if your ERA doesn't look great, if you can spin it like that, somebody will say, I can work on the rest.
Absolutely. It's a lot of times guys end up in the pros not because they're the next Mike Trout, but because they have one thing that they do better than everybody
That's
else. Right. And they look at it and they say, okay, you've got one tool. If we can make a couple more, in his case, okay, you can spin it. Can we do some arm care stuff to get velocity up or command or whatever it is?
Even that fastball at 91, and then he comes back with the hammer again. And Arkansas disposed of quickly in the 7th. So Thomas settled down this game as we go to the 8th. Hogs up by 4. We go to the 8th. 12-8, Hogs in front. 3 home runs tonight for the Bears, but Arkansas's home run scored 4. 6 extra base hits for the Hogs, and we were watching Iredale out in the bullpen. So no opportunity for him to come on and spin something up there. He's just getting ready to come on defensively, replace Frazier. So Arkansas tried to give him most of the night off, but not all of it. Stewart, Epstein, and Zara, 7, 8, and 9. Bottom of the lineup, top of the 8th for Missouri State. Gibler finished with 3 straight strikeouts last inning.
I was just going to say, we had convinced ourselves that he was going to come out and not spin it.
That's right.
We thought he was going to be out here throwing knuckleballs.
Why not? We've been known to talk some things into existence, too, despite your disbelief, but not tonight. And I think for Gibler, he was greeted by that home run from Rodriguez. Stewart had a mammoth home run in the 6th. He seems to have kind of settled in. Now you want to see the kid finish on a positive note if you're in that Razorback dugout. Strike 3 called, 4 straight strikeouts. Stewart may have thought that was out. Gibler starting to really settle in.
Yeah, that was, to go right at him like that, especially after the guy hit a big homer later and you just kind of hanging on that outside corner and said, go ahead and swing at it if you want to. That's a gutsy pitch right there, but he gets it to go.
Epstein's homered and struck out a couple of times. So what are we up to? 15 strikeouts now for look at that K count. I ask it immediately, it shows up on my screen. That is strikeouts or Ks for just about as far as our frame can handle.
Felt
That's
staged.
a swing. Almost.
Felt like there's somebody pushing the button somewhere.
We have not done a broadcast on every single day in the last month, but it does feel that way on a baseball, softball, gymnastics, basketball combo. That's a swing too, I think. Yes, it is.
This has been good for me to come out here and try and get my legs back underneath me before I'm doing the same thing here.
When does your season start? Next week from Friday?
April 4th, we're on the road, and then we come back the 8th.
Wave and a miss. 5 straight strikeouts.
Just goes back at it, outside part of the plate this time. A little backdoor action and swings right over top of it. That pitch right there is getting some depth, and the hitters, for one reason or another, are swinging right over top of it right now. It's deceptive.
We're not chasing any immaculate type innings, but I tell you what, he has struck out 5 in a row. Hasn't had many out of the zone this entire frame. This is a special little stretch here.
And he's kind of using the same couple of pitches to really get that ball into the zone. Everything's working for him right now.
Every once in a while, you had to miss just with intent.
Yeah, don't throw a strike intentionally just to show him that you're capable of missing the zone.
Any doubt in your mind you're going to see that bender again?
I don't think so. He's had a couple hitters, including Zara, not look great on it.
It's not broke. Don't fix it, Sean. That's 17 strikeouts as Gibbler just K'd the last 6 that he faced.
And that last one might have been maybe one of the more impressive ones we've seen tonight. Just goes right back at him and deals that hook again. Swing and a miss. Strike 3 for 17 of them.
What a gorgeous night here at Baum Walker. Arkansas pitchers have struck out 17 in a row, but Thomas came on. He was spinning it last frame and K'd the last 2 that he faced. Maxwell, Cahillo Aloy, and Kojal. Fouled right at the plate. 12 runs on 13 hits for the Razorbacks. And this man, Maxwell, entering play today, 6 home runs. He had 5 in 3 years total at TCU. He already exceeded that so far this season with a lot of time remaining. But if you had to face this spin on a regular basis, I'm not sure you'd be squaring this thing up from Thomas.
No. This is, I mean, maybe if you saw it regularly, you'd be able to get a feel for it, but just jumping into a game late where he's throwing this is tough as all get out.
That was the pitch to hit there. The fastball, maybe center cut, and Maxwell fouled it back.
Yeah, could you imagine sitting there waiting on a fastball, and you may never see it because he's been that good with that breaking ball so far.
Yes, Maxwell set up. Here's the 1-2. He threw the fastball, though, and it was ripped to right for a base hit. Second of the night for Logan Maxwell. Earlier in the game, he got a single to reach base safely for his 20th straight game.
There's another fastball, left it out over the middle of the plate. Does a nice job just to get the stick out there. Poke it into right field. Let the next guy up try and do the job.
And it does look like Justin Thomas Jr. is going to run at first, and then he would stay in defensively as well. So you might get part of a night off. You may not get the full night off when needed midweek. Cahillo has scored a couple of runs this evening. Still surprised he came with that fastball with Maxwell sitting on 2 strikes. Guess you can't throw it every pitch. The spin meister. Sometimes in these midweek games, you might see a team starting pitcher throw an inning as kind of their side session, but you know, you're a little bit leery about that too. You want your guys fresh for the weekend. Their weekend starter is a guy by the name of Jackson Holmes, who is the brother of Jonathan Holmes, the former walk-on basketball player several years ago for the Hogs, who would come on late in big games and chuck them up. Thomas runs, wave and a miss. Throw down is close. Not in time. Immediately, the Bears say they want an appeal. Thomas Jr. called safe on the field. Tell you what, in real time, I thought he was out. But
yeah,
sure we'll see soon enough.
It looked like he caught him kind of on that left elbow as he was going in. Didn't quite get extended.
Challenging the safe at second base. The play is under further review.
So in conference games, the command center makes the call. The pit of confusion is used here on site. Let's take a look.
Well, he
Thomas
gets a good jump. Oof.
I think he's out.
Yeah, I think from that particular angle, it's inconclusive. This one should be a little better. Yeah, looks like he got him on that left shoulder right before his hand got to the bag.
I mean, you might have to kind of piece together two replays here, and fans reacting thinking he's safe on the video board, but what the video board does not display is the Hawkeye technology with the super duper cameras. We'll see it here. So you can't quite see that oven mitt. I don't know, Sean. I mean, it may be one of those that has to stand. I mean, I think the tag. I mean, you know, they're going to have to leave this to stand, maybe.
I think you're right, even though it's a lot closer than I think. At least I thought it was live.
I mean, it's hard to see that oven mitt. Is it down or is it not? But that tag is maybe just not quite applied to the shoulder yet.
I think I figured out what they need to do on these plays. They
Flip
need
a
to
coin?
No, somebody needs to just set up a stationary camera aimed at second base and center field to get these plays.
That's right.
It's the only. I mean, in situations like that, it's really the only angle I think you can get a clear look at.
No, I think that's next, right? The Hawkeye technology will eventually be put on the foul poles or in the outfield. Here's our verdict.
After further review, the runner is safe at second base. Missouri State has one challenge left.
Okay.
That's why we're up here.
So Thomas gets the bag. He was 3 for 6 in stolen base attempts, so that was kind of the fulcrum right there. And he'd been out. You start getting thrown out more than you steal successfully, it limits your options going forward.
Yeah, they're not going to let you go as much. I think that's where it is, but it also takes a phase away from you if you start having to steal less.
Catcher Zera really setting up outside here, and pitch bends out. Cahilla would not chase.
I think that's the other tricky thing when you're looking between differences between the levels, right? So you're talking about these guys are out here, they want to win. They want to win a national championship. They want to win the SEC. And
strike 3.
You know, the different things that they can do in that situation, like you said, if you start getting caught stealing heavy, they're not going to let you run as much because you're giving up an out more often than not.
Can't afford to give away too many.
No, but at the same time, at the next level, faster guys that are base stealers, it doesn't matter what percentage they're stealing at, they have to practice it, so they're going to go. Wins and losses matter, but not as much as the development.
Well said. I don't think Cahillo cared for that strike 3. And here's Kojal. He's been on base 3 times. Is that a swing? Quick appeal. No, says Doug Thrasher at third. Arkansas was trailing 4-0 going into the bottom of the 4th. Even after they took a 5-4 lead, they fell behind again. Scored a dozen tonight. We'll find out when we go to the top of the 9th. Should they have a 4-run lead, if that's enough. Trying to add some insurance here between Kojal and Bowles, who's on deck. Thomas dancing a little bit around second base. Kojal fouls one off Zera, the catcher. Arkansas trying to run their record in midweek games to 19 straight W's and also improved to 20-0 at home. They came in to action today having outscored their opponents at home 199 to 51. Base hit center field. Thomas got a little bit of a late break, but he's going to be waved in. Bogenpol with a bobble, doesn't matter. That's run number 13. Kojo's second hit. Hawks keep adding on. Baker's doesn't.
It almost seems like there was a conversation in the dugout of, hey, we know this guy has a really good slider. Hit the fastball, because that's exactly what Kojal just did right there. Exactly, wait him out. And he comes at him. That fastball is just not getting to the corners as much as you'd like to see. And so it makes it a little bit easier, right? If you're sitting fastball and it's out over the plate, well, you don't even have to worry about coverage or manipulating your body. You just stand upright and take your swing.
No, completely agree. I think that's well said as Carson Bowles bats. If you can paint and then you can throw the hammer, you're going to put these guys a little bit behind the 8-ball. But you catch too much plate at 91, 90-ish. At least these hitters might make you pay. Bowles has walked and had a 2-run double, and he scored 2 runs since coming into the game.
I think too, as Thomas goes along and gets a little bit further into the weeds on this stuff, I think he's going to find that with that slider, he could pitch a lot of guys backwards. You could finish with that fastball up or above the zone.
Chop it to short. A chance to flip to second. They're going to get it out. Back to first, not in time. Kojo called out. That flip from Epstein took a long time to get to Rodriguez. Kojo came racing off the field, and then someone told him to stay. Are we going to replay this or not? And yes, no, maybe, no. He didn't sell it if he thought he was safe.
No, and it looked like the Arkansas dugout wasn't too happy about it, because that's sort of,
he's out.
That's one of those where it was close enough where you're thinking, or what is this, the neighborhood play? You know, where, yeah, he was on the bag, but it looked like he had moved his feet so quick.
Agreed. Closer game might be a different story. You might go ahead and spend him if you've got him as far as the reviews. For Nolan Souza, he started this game with a couple of strikeouts, and then he has since singled in a run and doubled in a run, so maybe 2 games within a game for Nolan. Batting average came in right at 200. The Mendoza line, he's jumped it up 17 points. He'd love to get a 3rd hit. Arkansas with 15 collectively. Souza just torched one foul down the line in right towards the Loge boxes. Everybody okay? That was an incoming situation.
Yeah, that ball was tattooed. Here we go, big shift again.
Shift with 1 strike. That almost went through his legs. 3-1 with Becker on deck. Arkansas also tracking for its 7th straight win since they lost that Friday game at Ole Miss. Just ripped into center again. 111 for Nolan Souza, his 3rd hit of the game. This has been an exit velocity salad of some big time shots. I don't know how many we've had in excess of 100, but combined it's over 10, I would think.
It's quite a few, and this one, I mean, they're just ambushing the fastball right now. You saw earlier in the at-bat, Souza hit a missile foul down the right field side. That was on the off-speed pitch, and then he just went right back into fastball mode. Got himself a good pitch to hit and just blasted that fastball back up the middle.
So Thomas will not be able to finish off the inning. Needed 1 more out. 6 pitchers, not enough for the Bears. They're going to bring on number 7, trying to finish off the bottom of the 8th inning. Talked a lot about that 2015 Bears team that came to Arkansas for a super. One win away from the College World Series. There's Coach Hawkins right there. Full head of hair with Coach Keith Gunn. They had a reunion this past year, the 10-year reunion. Dave Thompson made it after the fact and got to meet up with some of the guys he coached. And certainly a special year, 18-3 at conference play. Won the Springfield Regional. They couldn't host because the minor league team was supposed to play the next weekend. You know, he said all the right things today. It wasn't like, darn it, we could have hosted. You know, he said, I got to play a super in Baum Walker. Good memories here, but one win shy of going to the College World Series. By the way, the third baseman Sutherland has come on to pitch, talking about two-way guys facing Becker, looking for the final out of the inning. So, of course, he wasn't warmed up. Took him a while to kind of crank it up. I think maybe coming into the inning, McCutcheon had gone to third. And Dunn had gone to left. So you get the idea. We've entered the spring training portion of this midweek game. 2 balls and a strike to Becker, who's knocked in 3 runs today.
That's Gollard out there and left.
Okay.
Trying to make heads or tails of all this.
You keep right on going. Don't let me stop you or discourage you. Three and one. Either way, Iredale with the big grand slam the other day is on deck. Hasn't batted tonight. If Becker walks, he would bat for a chance to slam, and it would not put it at a run rule territory, but we'd be close. Good pitch for a strike.
He's got an active delivery. It's athletic.
I would agree. Arms and legs coming at you. Runners will go on a 3-2 pitch. There they go. Swinging a foul into the glove of Zera. That is a K. That will end the inning. We go to the 9th. Bears need 5 to tie. I mean, we could have pushed that over like 35-90 at least between the two of us. I mean, we could throw in 7 between the two, right?
I was going to say, what is, in all your years at ballparks, what's the most hot dogs you've consumed in a sitting?
5, probably.
Okay.
Gibbler's back out there. A lot of lefties, and he struck out 6 straight. I mean, in my younger days, I might have been encouraged to kind of push it beyond that, you know, get to half a dozen.
Yeah. When I was in high A, we did a little challenge.
Oh, we did a contest, did we?
We did, and it was like the 50-cent hot dog night,
Yep.
a quarter dog or whatever. So we went down and bought 9 hot dogs. You ate 1 per inning. I was like one of 2 people that did it, but I was not proud of myself. You know, talking about meat sweats. That was not a pleasant.
No.
And in Kentucky,
Yeah.
in the middle of the summer, that was not.
Nope.
That was a bad choice.
Well explained. 1-2 the count to Bogenpole. I don't know if Cole Gibbler could go all Carl Hubble here as far as strikeouts. But he has Bogenpole set up. He has K'd 6 in a row. And that's a little bit outside. In the 1934 All-Star game, Carl Hubble struck out Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig, Jimmy Fox, Al Simmons, and Joe Cronin in succession. But I thought he had something like 7 or 8 in a row. Bogenpole's hanging tough here. Seven straight strikeouts would be quite an accomplishment. We had an immaculate inning earlier this year with Coyle. The count has gone full. Here's your payoff. That is strike 3 called. How about 7 straight strikeouts for Cole Gibbler? You could watch a lot of baseball the rest of this year, Sean, and not see somebody strike out 7 in a row.
No, I mean, I've been doing this for 10 years, and I don't think I've seen it. So this is I mean, look at the command of the zone there and the confidence just to throw that breaking ball a little bit up, let it run across the zone, catch the outside corner, get to the next guy.
17 Ks. Our K counter's running out of real estate, and I don't know what in the world Becker did on that throw back to the mound. Did he hit the bat again? There's the Ks. I mean, that takes some planning to bring 17 of those placards and enough adhesive. The count 2-0. Now, I worked with Jim DeShays for a number of years. He was on the television side and pitched for Houston, among other teams. But there was a start where he famously struck out the first 8 Dodgers he faced. And then Tommy Lasorda pinch hit for the pitcher so that he didn't get to number 9 in the 3rd inning.
Jeez.
The streak will end on a liner to right off the bat of Rodriguez. He's had a fun game, Sean. He will finish with 4 hits if this game doesn't go any longer, and he's only a triple shy of the cycle.
That's unreal. I mean, he has done a great job at the plate today. I mean, there's no other way to put it. You got 4 hits now, right?
Yeah.
Am I seeing that right? It's a lot of green.
He struck out his first at bat, and since then he's had 4 straight.
It was kind of the same story with Gibbler. He gave up that home run to Rodriguez and then went on that strikeout stretch.
Rodriguez has not treated him well. He's had fun with everybody else. Here's McCutchen. Hard hit, base hit. So McCutchen gets his 3rd hit, and he's been on base all 5 times. He had a couple of walks as well. And it takes a couple of more base runners, but the Bears are aiming to bring the tying run to the plate. It won't be against Gibbler, however. 44 pitches into his outing. Here comes DVH. It wasn't a bad pitch.
No, tried to front door a little breaking ball there and just ready for it. Lefty turns on it and just kind of laces it through that right side.
Arkansas has used 4 pitchers compared to 7 for the Bears and about to get their 5th. A night to remember for Gibbler. I'm sure he wanted to finish it strong, but we're retrieving placards now. We've run out of strikeouts. John, I would say there were aspects of Cole Gibbler's night that were fun to watch.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that if you take out the first hitter that he faced and the last 2, it was all fun. I mean, to go up there and strike out 7, 18 now on the game for Arkansas pitching. I mean, he came out here and just put on a show.
There's something about that shape of the breaking ball that I'm not expecting it to break when it does, or it has a different run that I would anticipate as a hitter. Kind of locks up those batters.
Yeah, it kind of look, especially once you get into that sweeping pitch, it looks like it's going to fall off the table and just kind of stay its line, but then get depth. And instead, it cuts across and runs, but it also doesn't get as low as you'd expect it to. It kind of just hovers there. I think spin axis is the reason that it happens like that.
I like that term. Spin axis. Here's Will McIntyre. It's not a safe situation. Had he come on with one more base runner, it would have been. Swing and a foul right back to the screen. So 18 strikeouts. Gollard is 0 for 3. He's driven in a run with a sac fly way back in the 5th. That feels like yesterday. How about a ground ball for a double play to win things? Big wave of a miss by Gollard. Fifth pitcher used by the Hogs tonight, 12th in the game, unless I've missed one, and that's possible at this juncture. This is only 3+ hours. I mean,
That's it?
It could have been more. I guess it could still continue for a while. Liner into center for a base hit by Gollard. going to chase home a run. Nothing is easy this evening, and it's 13-9. Second RBI for Goller. We're not done quite yet.
Not at all. On that last pitch, down and away, boy, that's a really good pass. Gaubert just going down and getting that one. Actually hit further off the barrel and closer to the end of the bat, and he was still able to muscle it up through the middle.
There's Max Knight. That one painted at 90 for a strike. With Rodriguez scoring that run, not only did he record 4 hits, he also scored 4 runs. That one's trouble. Down the line in right. That is fair, and it's into the corner. It's going to score at least a run. RBI double for Knight. It's a 13-10 game, and the tying run will come to the plate. And the Hogs can't get any outs here in the 9th after that leadoff K.
We were talking about this a couple innings ago, right? At that point, it was a 5-run game. You look at it and you go, it's a good lead. It's not comfortable because we've seen what this Missouri State team can do, and they're not doing it by the long ball right now, but all these balls are hit very well. That last one was a changeup, and he's able to just drive that ball down the line in right field. And when you start getting towards the lines, guys don't really play out in those corners.
And the one man who's been hitless tonight is Sutherland, and that's going to be popped up, and Souza will drop it. Oh, my goodness. I thought the Hogs had caught a break, and on a winless night, they don't catch the pop-up. And now a long ball would put the Bears in front. Was he looking at Aloy?
I don't think so. He came in from second. He was playing back a bit. Came in a bit too far, snapped the mitt, took a step back. That looked like it glanced right off of that pad on the outer half of the glove. And just glanced off of him.
How big is that run Arkansas scored now in the bottom of the 8th?
Massive.
But keep in mind, Zach Stewart hit a monster home run back in the 6th. He's going to swing and miss here. If you're Stewart, you dare to dream. An extra base hit ties up the game. A long ball would put your team in front. Thomas Jr. went into center after he pinch ran. Davalon moved to left. That's down the chutes. This was back in the 6th inning, and you talk about a no-doubter this evening. There you go.
Yeah, that one ended up on that balcony out there in right field, hanging off the building, and he certainly earned the luxury in that situation to stand and watch it for just a moment. It brought a lot of energy to this Bears team in the process.
And if you're McIntyre, you didn't want to make that pitch too good. Now, we've seen the cutter as well. Really put that one down in the dirt. 5 straight Bears have reached after a strikeout to begin the frame. 13-10 9th inning. Fans were rooting with their hearts, wanting a punch out. Boy, that drop pop-up, though, could be an issue.
Yeah, Stewart really wanted that pitch right there. He got that weight front side and decided to hold back for just a second. He was rewarded with a ball to even the count.
Big pitch, big moment. Ripped into right for a base hit. Everybody goes station to station, and it's a 2-run game. And there are multiple Bears this inning with 2 strikes that have put the ball in play.
None bigger than that one, right? I mean, you make it so that the margin right now is very, very small, and he got a pitch up in the zone. That looked like an off-speed pitch that kind of just floated there, and he turned on it. How about that one? 112 off the bat on that line drive.
Oh, my goodness. That is 6 straight Bears who have reached after the first man struck out. And by the way, Bogan Polducade might get to bat again.
My goodness.
I mean, for as entertaining of a game as this has been, this is a 9th inning that has the fans sitting on their edges of their seats begging for an out, and they thought they had one in a pop-up. Everything else has really been blitzed.
That's how it goes in these situations sometimes, right? One play can make all of the difference. If you catch that pop-up, you've still got second and third, but first base is still open at that point. You're probably still giving up a run after that blistered ball to right.
Well, Epstein will bat. He homered back in the 4th. It was a solo shot.
Yeah, and that one was crushed too. You take a look back at it, that was back in the 4th inning. 393 over the bullpen into left field. I mean, these guys have really, really punched hard tonight.
Dunn is going to pinch run at second. Epstein has struck out 3 times and homer. We're talking about finishing pitches, finishing at bats, and finishing innings and finishing games, all wrapped up into one, and Arkansas hasn't quite been able to do it. Still looking for a ground ball that might have a chance to turn 2, but right now, again, the problem with dropping that pop-up is getting to 3 outs seems somewhat difficult now, let alone getting an out.
The good news is you've got one available at every station.
Epstein won't offer. That wasn't close. And I think Arkansas heating up their bullpen, but now you start to think about a bottom of the 9th, because in addition to 6 straight Bears reaching, McIntyre has not been able to throw a strike to Epstein.
You'd also have to think that that mound visit that we saw, part of it was keep it low, get it over the plate, like let them hit it, trust your defense, right? We hear that so many times.
That is 7 straight runners who have reached, and that was not competitive. If you're DVH, you almost have to make a change here, and he will. After a mound visit, nothing was close to Epstein, the 8-hole hitter, and you're getting real close to a danger zone now as far as turning this lineup over.
Well, unfortunately, you're leaving the burden with the next guy up, right? Because now he comes into a pressure cooker where the tying runs at third base. The go-ahead runs at second.
Take another pitching change break. It's 13-12 in the 9th. A 4-run 9th inning, and the Bears are within a run, and the bases are loaded with just 1 out. Tate McGuire is on to pitch. He is the 3rd pitcher this inning. Bears will have a pinch hitter, Dylan Robertson, redshirt senior from the Chicagoland area. 8th appearance for McGuire. The pop-up that fell was one thing, but a 4-pitch walk to the 8-hole hitter has complicated matters even further. So Tate McGuire ready, and Robertson nearly came out of his shoes. He might have gone airborne with that swing.
That's a good swing.
.35 at bats. He's hit a couple of homers. Cued to third. The play will go to third base, and Iredale was trying to find the bag, and he does get the force. Now a run scores, and we are tied at 13 apiece.
You know, Brett, you may have spoke this one into existence. At the beginning of the inning, we had talked about you just need a couple of outs, and this one's over, and instead, we're back even.
Well, the first batter of the inning, which is this man, Bogenpol, struck out. It was the 18th strikeout by an Arkansas pitcher today, and they have really struggled since then, but here he comes up with a chance at some redemption. Oh for 4. He did walk and score back in the 3rd inning. You know about the kid's potential. And a 5-run top of the 9th in what has been one of the uglier frames against Arkansas since probably the Charlotte game. But now they still need a 3rd out. Maybe that'll be here. And what an absolute ugly 9th inning. Bogenpol makes 2 outs, and Arkansas needs a run to walk it off in the bottom of the frame. Well, the Kangaroo thought its night was over. And yet here we are, 13, not a lucky number. if you're the Razorbacks. You're going to the bottom of the ninth, tied at 13. Iredale, who has a streak of reaching base consecutively in 25 straight games, has not come to the plate yet, but he will here to lead off the frame. And there aren't many Bears left at their original position, and this is Jackson Holmes, their starter, the brother of Jonathan Holmes, the former Razorback walk-on basketball player. I wondered if we might see a starter. They did their best to avoid it. 28 2/3 innings of work. You see the earned run average. Sean, 32 strikeouts, 11 walks, so he might not be a guy to provide some free bases.
No, he's not going to give anything up, really. And 32 strikeouts, let's not forget, that's in 28 2/3 innings of work. So he is a strikeout guy. Some walks come along with that. It's about a walk and outing or something, you know, a little bit more. But, yeah, you're going to have to work for everything that you get against him. But the good news is when you see that ERA that's north of 5, people have been able to get to it.
That's true. Bergman is the new catcher. Holmes ready to work to Iredale. When we last saw Brent on Sunday, hit a grand slam after they walked Eloy to load the bases. And he was asked about it after the game in the media session. What did you think about South Carolina walking Eloy to get to you with the bases loaded? And he said they effed up, but he went ahead and just let it fly. So he is in the penalty box when it comes to post-game interviews. But if he hits one here, he might be right back in that media session later.
Yeah, you wouldn't really have a choice, would you?
No.
I think there would be a very serious conversation before that media conversation began. I've heard some schools do media training for their athletes now. So.
Holmes, the 8th pitcher to be used tonight by the Bears. Arkansas has run through half a dozen themselves, and this is a game that has combined for 26 runs on 29 combined hits. Next home run for Iredale will be his 10th of the season. And he's going to wave and miss. Holmes went right after him at 94 and gets the K.
Coming into a game off the bench as a hitter might be one of the hardest things in sports to do. I mean, right there, it's 94 at the top of the zone. You've got to protect, you've got to swing at it, but it's not really the pitch that you want to try to get on top of.
Sure it's not. Davilan's had a 3-hit game. He's been retired twice. He went after the high one.
Pretty much the same pitch, 94 up.
You aren't kidding.
It's got a little bit of carry to it.
Arkansas was down 4-0, and yet they were up by 5 going into the top of the 9th and got the first man out before giving up 5. Well, the Hogs wanted to get a base runner to kind of, if nothing else, restore a little bit of the momentum and start building towards scoring that runner to win the game, but Iredale K's. Davilan has a count of 2-1 to Holmes, one of their weekend starters for the Bears. Vahiva Loy waits on deck.
The fact that you got into the 9th inning and then you have 9 with Iredale and then the top of your lineup, this is kind of where you want to be going into the 9th inning if you're Arkansas.
Davilan strokes one to left. This ball's tagged into the gap, and speaking of tags, Galler got it.
Running that ball down like his hair was on fire in left field. We've seen a lot of balls hit to left that have found green grass, and that one didn't have any such luck despite a good swing. Sent it in the air, opposite direction, curling a bit. But a great play out there to run that ball down and get the second out of the inning. We're 1 out away from going to extras.
And Vahiva Loy, the batter. Vahiva doubled in a run way back in the 6th. He's 1 for 5 today. We've talked so much about Eloy's patience, how he has become a different hitter, not chasing. But you wonder in this situation if you give yourself a swing when you get ahead in the count such as this. Three and 0.
It's always tricky to get into those hitters counts, and this one included, and then not take the bat off your shoulder, to have the patience to say that's an out.
You know, he wanted to swing at that but couldn't.
Yeah, 3-0, a lot of times you're going to get the stop sign, and it doesn't matter if you're hitting 387 or not.
Remember that Maxwell was pinch run for, so he's no longer the 3-hole hitter behind Vahiva. He went after the breaking pitch, came up empty. So from 3-0 to 3-2. Hogs in danger of going quickly and in order in the bottom of the 9th. What a frame from Holmes. And now the Bears have a chance to regain the lead when we go to the 10th. You've got to be kidding me. Sean, that 9th inning was something.
That it was a 5-run inning there to get things tied up, and the Bears just did a great job, I guess lack of a better term, bearing down during that inning, because it's really easy when you go into the 9th inning and you're down to kind of let things flow and just, you know, grin and bear it. And instead, they fought tooth and nail every pitch during that 9th inning to get this ball game tied up and send us extras.
And Rodriguez, who had the single with 1 out and the bases empty, is up there again looking for his 5th hit. Remember, he still needs a triple for the cycle. But he had the homer in the 7th against Gibbler. He was batting with the bases empty, 1 out, and his team down 5 runs. And McGuire, who got the final 2 outs, working in the 10th. 2, 3, and 4 due up for the Bears. It's almost like a Paul Sorrento type stance from Nick Rodriguez.
See, I was thinking, we had a guy in when I was in Bowling Green named Tyler Frank, and he had to teach himself how to hit left-handed as a professional because he did irreparable damage to his shoulder. But that was kind of the stance he would take, is kind of that open but very narrow stance in the back of the box. And then all of a sudden those guys just take that big stride and explode.
True. And Arkansas doing a little shifting of their own. Pitch timer winding down as McGuire delivers the 3-2. Fouled back. Rodriguez came in batting .318. He's jumped it up to .344. Bears would love to get a run to take the lead, to put even more pressure on the Razorbacks, and they may have done it here. Deep left. Goodbye in a 5-hit game. And Nick Rodriguez with a homer in the 10th to put the Bears in front. 2 homers, 5 hits. And at one time down 5. Now Missouri State's in front. And Arkansas cannot keep the ball in the park tonight.
Well, darn, he didn't get the cycle, but a 2-home-run game, and not only that, but to get your 5th hit and have it be so meaningful late in this game. Extra innings. You've been hitting all day, and you come in, get a pitch out over the plate, and again drive it to left field as a left-handed hitter. That is so tough to do.
And now McCutcheon bats. You know, Coach Hawkins told us before the game, he said, you know, it's going to be sunny and 75, and you're playing the #2 team in the country. I want an at-bat. Well, now it's in the 60s, and the sun has long since departed, and I'm sure the blood's still kicking through the Bears in the dugout, because they've taken every ounce of life in this stadium. And they're feeling great, and the Hogs cannot believe that they have watched this one slip away.
And not only that, but a packed stadium, too. It is, you know, you can still get some energy out of a small play here or there or a strikeout. You think about that run of 7 strikeouts. Sometimes that's enough energy to just carry you through.
I thought so too, because not only did he struck out 7 in a row, but the first to begin this 9th inning. And then Arkansas needed McIntyre, McGuire to finish. McGuire came back out in the 10th and was greeted by another home run. Mile high fly ball. Davalon will make the catch. I'm going to wait these out from this point on, even on a winless night.
It only takes one, right? It's, I think we also forget sometimes the lights. Everywhere you go, it seems like nobody's used to the lights and the fly balls that get hit. If you think about it, most of these guys practice during the day, right?
Yes.
So playing under the lights can certainly be tough, especially when you're out there in left field and you got a light stanchion over here and the ball goes straight up.
I mean, that was a mile-high fly ball from McCutcheon. But this is Gollard, a chopper to third. Iredale's got it. 2 outs following the home run from Rodriguez.
I think really, if you're out there on the mound right now, you're just trying to get this inning over with, get this final out, get the offense back into the dugout, and see what they can do. They're going to have 3, 4, 5, I have it as in my book. And you need 1 run. Those guys are capable of driving in 1 run.
It's not often when Arkansas is out homered 4-1. Now, again, they had a grand slam, and the Bears homers have all been solo shots, but they've given up 4, and there hasn't been much cheap about any of that quartet of home runs. .30 combined hits in this game.
I was just thinking that too. It's 30 combined hits. You have 27 combined runs.
Bears have scored the last 6. First 4 and last 6 will probably win you a lot of games. Ever since the Bears struck out for their 18th, they haven't struck out since. We've cycled through this lineup. This was the spot for Dunn when he pinch ran, but now this is Jackson Holmes. Remember, they have given up their DH. So this is the pitcher Holmes, who I guarantee you a half hour ago didn't think he was even going to see the field. Tossed back to first, not in time. And not only did he pitch and strike out a couple of hitters in the 9th inning, now he is batting. When the dugout gives you a little extra cheer, you know something's going on. And that's strike 3. But the Hogs now need at least a run to keep playing. After a leadoff home run from Rodriguez, his 2nd of the game. And the Bears have a 14-13 lead. And the home run in the top of the inning from Nick Rodriguez has put the Bears in front 14-13. They've scored the last 6, so Arkansas again needs to make some magic happen. Thomas Jr. has not batted in this game, and we're 3.5 hours in. Holmes, the weekend starter, retired all 3 that he faced in the 9th, including 2 by strikeouts. He Kate Iredale, struck out Vahiva. Then he struck out batting in the top of the 10th. Thought Thomas Jr. was going to wear that one. He jumped out of the way.
Yeah, that was a little too close for comfort. I don't think he needs a shave right now.
But Arkansas needed a base run. he did what anybody else would do. Yeah, hop backwards.
Ooh.
Strike at the top of the zone. Arkansas undefeated this year at home in 19-0. They've won 18 straight midweek games, both of those in serious jeopardy, down to their final 3 outs. Looked to be a little bit high. Was that a swing? It was not, says Casey Mosier at third. And the count's 3-1. See what Holmes throws to Thomas. What he threw was ball 4. So the tying run is on base, and now the winning run is coming to the plate in the presence of Cahillo Eloy, but not before a mound visit. You know, part of the problem with a 30-man roster again, Sean, is you're not built for games in which you have to throw 8 or 9 pitchers, even when you have position players. So you have to recycle a starter because you need an arm. You sense a chance to win. But he's going to expend some pitches here unless he can get a double play or some quick outs.
Yeah, and I don't know. Obviously, everybody's on a different plan. A lot of times it's 1 day off per inning pitched, right? So technically, I guess if he gets through today, he could still make a start on the weekend. But
I think so.
It's one of those deals where if this game goes past this and he stays in, then you run into a little bit of trouble as far as the pacing of the rotation.
You know, it makes you nervous. It just does, because the Bears want this win. They want to finish off this W.
We talked about how great having teams like Arkansas on the schedule looks. How good do you think it looks if you beat them?
There's no doubt. Not to mention the confidence that it propels you forward with going into the weekend and beyond. Cahillo Eloy didn't get all of a pitch in the 5th inning and still flew out to the track in left center. 8 home runs on the season. Thomas runs well at first. An extra base hit could score him to tie the game. But that is 6 of 7 that have missed from Holmes.
So when you're a starter, it's really tough, I think, to get up into the bullpen and get into, late into a game where, we talked about now it is a safe situation, but this is pressure. This is real pressure. You're not starting with a clean slate,
Correct. And it feels so different than maybe starting a game. You wonder if Cahillo gives himself a pitch to come absolutely unglued at. His last homer at home was 2 weeks ago tonight. A 2-0 pitch. Boy, he got something to hit there. Holmes kind of spun it in for the strike.
Left it up a bit. And that's part of what you're saying, where, you get a hanger, you really have to take a good pass at it. And a 2-0 count, that's certainly you don't want to jump out of your shoes at that pitch, but
I would suggest he not do that again. Fouled right back to the screen.
he did it again.
He did it again. He got away with it, didn't he? A winless night at Baum Walker. Hawks let a 5-run 9th inning lead slip away. Bears scored a run at the top of the 10th. Arkansas has their leadoff runner on base in the bottom of the frame. Cahillo Eloy with a swing and a foul tip into the glove of the catcher, Bergman. How about that, from 2-0 to a strikeout?
It's a nice fastball there to go up, challenge him, and see if he can get the swing and the miss. And he got the swing, and, well, he didn't miss, but just got a piece of it. And we haven't really talked a lot about how Zara's done behind the plate. He's stolen some strikes tonight as far as pitch framing goes. He's had an active night with some of the wild pitches we've seen. And that one right there, I mean, that's really tough to be able to squeeze that ball after it gets clipped like that, because it's redirected, it's going in a different spot. And as a catcher now, when they teach you to frame, you're trying to go back to the strike zone. So when you have to go up, you have to remember to stay up and not drop that mitt too early.
By the way, Holmes said, one more hitter, I'm good. Well, it's a second mound visit. It doesn't matter at this point. So we were talking about not wanting to extend him too far. He even had to bat, though, to come back out here. And his day is done. So the Bears will be on their 9th pitcher. And are they going to bring in another position player? Hawks down to their final 2 outs. When was the last time you saw a pitcher come into a game with a filthy jersey and pants? Outside of Little League, when Mom wasn't told that they had a game and your jersey from last Saturday still in the laundry heap.
That's about it for me, I think. Maybe we saw Brett Phillips do that once, but that'd be about it.
So Max Knight becomes the 9th pitcher used by the Bears. He started this game at first base. He is the 2nd position player we have seen throw this evening. You're obviously playing to win right now, and you're trying to finish off this game 2 outs away from a big road win. Going left on left with Cam Kojal. Hit in the air to center. Back goes Bogenpol. Still drifting. He's got it. Big second out. Hogs down to their final out.
Went after that first pitch on an off-speed pitch. And, I mean, got every bit of it. Hit it about as hard as he could, but straightaway center field is not forgiving here.
It is not. He's given up 1 homer all year, in case you dare to dream. And Bowles, who did not start the game, but came on for Kendall Diggs, batting in the bottom of the 10th and takes a strike. Fourth plate appearance for Bowles, who has not hit a Division I home run. Grounded into the hole. The flip goes to second. The game is over. The Bears needed 9 pitchers and 10 innings. But they give the Razorbacks their first loss at home. The Hogs self-destructed in the 9th, and the Bears won it in the 10th.
You know what? If you look at this game just as it stands, this is an upset, right? But if you look at that all-time series that we looked at earlier, it's maybe not as much of an upset as we thought. These two teams have played each other hard over
There's no
years.
doubt. It's quite a rivalry. Big win for Coach Hawkins and the Bears, their highest-ranked win in program history. There was 3 pitches I think Knight needed to end the game. The Razorbacks got their leadoff runner on in the 10th, but couldn't do anything with it.